who's going to be working behind the scenes today. Spirited Book, we've got a couple things to talk about here, namely being the prizing. Why is everybody here? What in the world is everybody doing so early in the morning on a Sunday, a lovely Sunday? It's because we've got $2,000 on the line, and that's going to be the prizing. You know, whichever team walks away with winning the finals is going to walk away with $2,000 in their pockets as well. We also got some brackets to look at. Let's see what teams are competing. I know you've been looking at the brackets book, and I'll give you a second to talk about what teams you want to look at.
Yeah, a couple of rosters. Obviously, we got teams like Smokebreak that we want to keep an eye on. They're obviously a top contender. I feel like 800 GPM maybe could be an underdog that makes a potential run. I feel like they are pretty solid consistently from time to time. You know, that's the Vives roster that once upon a time was playing alongside Adapting, but I don't know, man. There's a couple of NA rosters here as well. We got a kind of a wonky situation of a mix of, you know, Donut Doug, Aurora, Sooslayer, and Lairs over there on single bind. So a couple of old names that we often see in our NA tournaments making the move over to the EU day today.
Looking out for Theater Thugs, Inferno, Raspy, Tempo, a couple of good names that have been around the scene, right? You know, maybe have not ever made it to the tippity top of Smite Prime when we see our monthly circuits, but names that I've been keeping up with and seeing around when it comes to just community tournaments in general, right? I feel like Theater Thugs is just a name that I'm always seeing around. That and Inner Circle, which pieces to me, Genetics, one of my favorite players, right? And 3 out of 5 members from Team Risk, which was from the Founders Series, you know, they made it all the way to the grand finals of the Founders Series. 3 out of those 5 players are on that team, Streak, Theeks, and of course Genetics. So I'm excited to see how far they go.
Yeah, I think that has potential to be a really solid roster. It's interesting that Coast is going to be the jungler for that team. He's normally an ADC in most of his teams.
Let's take on over to Picks and Bans and watch our first game of the day. You already know, up against Smoke Break, and a couple of names that you might recognize from back in the day. Calvin, another Trenching. But on Smoke Break, we have a couple more recently familiar names. Banco, formerly known as Deathwalker. You already know about the tier play. You already know. Get it? We're working it early here, Boog.
It's way too early for us, more. It is way too early. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And over in EU, I don't even know what they're going on at this point. But I mean, this is a solid roster, and it's quite interesting to see. Instead, in the support role, often Dardes is the good player that's often there in the support role for this adapting squad of Smoke Break. Instead, it's going to be Happen over there. What is that? This horse flying across our screen? Am I the only one that just saw that? More? No, is that?
Just ignore it. Just ignore it. We got a job to do, Boog.
Okay. Yeah, Mort. It's too early in the morning for this. All right, yeah, Happen obviously on Smoke Break, you know, taking the move over to EU to play in support. Very successful over in NA. Curious to see how he fits into this roster.
And Thorban coming through as well. Even though Thor did receive a little bit of a nerf, specifically with his aspect of Thunderstruck, a little bit less healing there, so might not be as prominent in solo. We did still see Remikami run it back yesterday, just without the aspect. So you're not as focused on, you know, sustain and fights. You're more focused on the extra damage that the hammer can bring back, which can really hurt, really hurt, especially if you're landing that combo, the 2-1. Thor can still put out a whole lot of damage, so no surprise to see that banned away. Aladdin getting a little bit of recognition, and this is interesting because I remember back, I'm going to talk about a lot about, I guess. Do you remember during Founders that a lot of the EU players didn't put a lot of focus on Aladdin? I mean, they just banned it away and said, we know it's probably strong, but we just haven't been playing it. But, you know, now it's getting banned away. They realize this guy's kind of cracked.
Yeah, very good. And kind of curious now that the double stacking sort of Book of Thoth Transcendence build is out of the meta, what the Aladdin build that Smoke Break are really afraid of, what that kind of identity for this character now is. I feel like, you know, we were talking before the broadcast of what the new meta is after this recent patch. Musi seems to believe that it's just, you know, super hybrid tanky junglers right now. You know, Mordred seems to fit the bill. I'm hoping for a little Gilgamesh today. Maybe someone can have some success on it today at some point. Maybe go towards these active items, which I think are really strong right now. I feel like active items aren't talked about. We talk about it a fair bit, but even just on other roles like jungle, going for a more tanky hybrid style of jungler and going sort of towards these stampedes, maybe some shells, these supportive active items to make an impact.
It's interesting that you bring up the actives on junglers. I feel like adapting is one of the few junglers that I see that consistently goes for the Lurny bow, right? I've seen adapting pull out the Hunbats or whatever else and then pick up like a Lurny bow, and it just seems kind of random, I guess. But the stats make sense, 40 strength, 30 attack speed. For that little amount of gold, I think it's like 2,400 or something cheap like that. It's honestly a pretty nice pickup early. So I don't think it's bad by any means. Maybe we see that today from adapting on the Susano pick, maybe not, but later on in the bracket, who knows? Dodgy and Ardio are going to fall through in the ban for You Already Know, and I like this Dodgy pick a lot. I cannot believe it got through bans.
Yeah, I think this is a really good identity so far for You Already Know. I mean, it's a strong, self-reliant, potential mid laner here in the Morgan Le Fay already picked up here. I feel like EU really likes Morgan Le Fay mid over Morgan Le Fay solo, but has flex potential with that aspect. Obviously could go into solo, but with Ardio locked in, I gotta imagine that's going to the solo lane. And it's just very strong frontline presence here for You Already Know, and that allows Morgan Le Fay to kind of play on her own in the back line here. Now paired alongside this Daji Hoi for You Already Know, I feel like this Morgan Le Fay can sit very comfortably in the back line, really avoid a lot of the all-in potential from this Susano on the side of Smokebreak.
The classic Calvin pick, the Ymir support coming through, and this is a pick that definitely will matter a lot because I have a strong feeling that this Hu Yi is going to be aspect. A lot of carries recently have been utilizing Hu Yi's aspect where your basic attacks will ricochet instead of your one. So, and this has been very popular with Hydrogen. Kvake has been running it in scrims. I've been keeping up with it on Twitch streams. It's gotten a lot of popularity recently, and I don't see any signs of it slowing down. So it's all going to be mattering about those walls and how they're used. But unfortunately, Ymir doesn't come through. It's Serb instead. And Serb doesn't have walls, so not as much talking point there. But honestly, a really good draft from You Already Know. This is a very nice draft.
Yeah, I mean, Cerberus 9th pick overall has got to feel pretty good if you're You Already Know. I mean, surprised that he's gone this far down. And I do think the three-headed dog has fallen off a little bit in priority as a whole. I feel like a lot of gods are seeing some rise in the support role. I feel like there's so many options you can lean towards. The Yamoja, Cerberus, Sobek that we see on the other side. A lot of options. And I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about Yanis. I love this god. Every time we see Yanis in Smite Prime, I'm always so excited to see what are the playmaking potentials of this god. And Yanis just has so much mobility, gives his team so much mobility with that ultimate, with the threshold, able to send his team flying across the map. So much mobility, especially paired alongside a high mobility jungler like Susano. I love this 2v2 of Susano Yanis. They're never going to play in the mid 2v2. They're always going to want to rotate out, play 4 side lanes. And I'm surprised we haven't seen Yanis in a hot second, because with the build, the way it is, the Bluestone into Chronos Pendant Soul Reaver proc build, it's a high CDR build with a lot of procking items. I feel like that's something Yanis can kind of abuse.
And it's interesting you said. I agree with you 100% on your points, by the way, because not only that, but Giannis is Sap 7's most played god in Smite Prime. If there's any god he's played the most of, it's Giannis, and he's been slamming games on that. Granted, we don't see Sap 7's name pop up all the time, but when we do, it's either Vulcan or Giannis, and he loves this god. So when you have an extremely talented player that knows this god in and out, how it works, like you said, rotate to side lanes. You don't need to stick around in mid lane. Clear your wave with 1 or 2 abilities and then walk away. What's going on in dual lane? You know what I mean? Like, let's go check this out over here. You know what I mean? So hopefully we see a lot more rotational play from Smokebreak throughout the game. I think that's where they're going to make the most impact, especially, like you said, Susano's high mobility. He said has some of the same things, but we'll worry about that when we get into game, because it's ready for us right here, right now. So we're going to dive on in. You Already Know up against Smokebreak, starting off our first game of the day. And what a beautiful scene for us, Musy. It's Morty and Spirited Book in the booth. We've got behind the scenes Testai, Jithens, and Musy. And Spirited Book, the floor is yours.
Already want to note, Banco rocking the E-set. Was kind of curious if that might be the play, because we saw the Sobek and E-set both locked in. I'm like, oh, well, one's going to be support, one's going to be solo. Is it going to be a classic Sobek solo? No, of course not. It's Banco on this team, and so he wants to play something a little weird and funky. It's E-set aspect over in the solo lane. Gonna have to keep our eye on that one, especially with a Dodgy on the other side. Feel like Benko can get heavily punished in this early mid game on a pick that's just a little squishier than the other, solo laner on the other side of the RDO.
Yeah, the RDO is going to be this is an interesting matchup. Musi, who's our residential solo laner for the broadcast team for Smite Prime, Musi's been talking a lot about this ESET aspect solo pick, and he's been running it in Scouters for OSL. I've seen other people also running it in Scouters for OSL too. It's found a fair amount of popularity, mainly because Banco's running it on stream. I mean, there's got to be some type of tech, right? And essentially, you're a CC bot. You know what I mean? You build high CDR, and you've got stuns that reach very far, and you can detonate it at a moment's notice. You've got a silence to follow up with that. High mobility, so even though you're tanky, it's going to be hard for you to get locked down and caught. There's honestly a lot to love, and granted, I'm sitting here thinking, when I first saw it, what in the world does ESET bring to the table? And then you see it in action, and you're like, that's annoying. That would make me mad in lane. You know what I mean? Like, this looks like it sucks to go up against.
For sure, and if you do lean towards more of a tanky build, I feel like it could be really annoying to try and all in, to try and dive. You already know might have to try and change up how they want to play this early game and just kind of play the front to back style. Slowly just cut through the Sobek that wants to play forward because he's the only true frontliner here in this game. Because everyone else on Smokebreak wants to play forward. They want to dive aggressively with this Yanis, using those portals to get to the back line, try and kill off someone here, whether it's the Morgan Le Fay or the Houyi. But both those backliners are really safe and can, peel for themselves. Interested to see how that dynamic kind of works out in the team fights. Is it going to be the dive of Smokebreak that's more effective than the peel and safety of the Yardino backline?
That's a really good point and a good pluck too, but I don't think it would result in much. Maybe a jolt could change that. And a sickening strike as well. Look at the damage coming through for duo lane. Close, but doesn't quite land anything just yet. We're going to see a very aggressive start, which is, I think this is a change of pace from, what we're used to as far as EU style gameplay book. I think we've talked about this pretty much. I feel like we've been together for like multiple EU things for Smite Prime already, and I feel like every time we get a talking point of they're used to playing slower. They're used to taking things at a more methodical pace. Let's get our farm. Let's fight around objectives exclusively. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just the slow, suffocating style of play, right? You play the map well, you get the neutral objectives a little bit better your opponents, and suddenly you look at the gold lead and you're like, wait, why are they up 5,000 gold and it's only 3-2 in the kills? Like, how do they have this much gold over us? It's just this slow map play that often happens. Though I find in Smite 2 that, play style that we've harped on EU for having for so long is long but gone, as Miguel left-hand side looking for E-Chrome.
A good jump in and then some fiery swipes to follow through, but Adapting shows up and has some response as well. A good pull does a lot of damage onto Miguel, who's down to less than 100, but at a moment's notice, one ability off cooldown will be the death of Miguel. Getting chased down through the Gold Fury pit makes their way towards the mid lane to maybe find some help through another and the pull finally comes in. Adapting kills Miguel for first blood for Smokebreak. Aegis forced away. No kill on another, but you at least got first blood and an Aegis.
What a play there from the Lexi. Just getting on over with the hello to get to the left-hand side quickly and help make that gank work out. Miguel just too aggressive, I think. Looks great. You're like on 2. Adapting's nowhere close. We know he just back to base. We're fine, right? And then it just doesn't work out. Just a little too deep there on the dive.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes. It's a little too head and I do know, like I said, a little bit of a change of pace, but I'm a big fan of wanting to get things started off in a big way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now this is a big potential here for Smokebreak to also make a play on the left-hand side again. Now that they have some relics down, of course, Shalvin's still down. Aegis as well taken off from the other. Another makes the Morgan Le Fay that much more susceptible. Not just yet, probably going to take over soon. But yeah, just suddenly a really good position here for Smokebreak. They can look to use this early, goal lead potentially exceeds.
A Purchasing team for the side of Smoke Break, mainly because of the fact they have Happen over here, right? And Happen we're used to seeing with Clocked In or Overtime, or how we know them now as Hostile Takeover. Happen's been on the same team for quite a while, building chemistry with the same 4 players. Well, I guess 5 if you want to count Paul's retirement and all that. But now you've got a whole new team for Happen to work with. It changes up chemistry in a pretty big way. You got to think about communication and play style. I mean, this is a bit of a change of pace for Happen. I wonder how that's going to change play style.
Calvin trying to be aggressive here.
Sigine Torment finds a double knockup and the Meteor Shower thrown down right after. A good pluck will block the way of Happen because LeChill had body blocked it. Forces out lurking in the waters, down to 200 health, but can't find a kill there. Very close to a death and a lot of resources taken away too.
Ultimately, that play there is just to be aggressive on the left-hand side and get pressure, try and force the beads off E-Chrome. They don't do it, but they do get his ultimate at the very least. And all that play is there for to just get that buff on the left-hand side, the neutral buff. They got it. So that's a victory there for Yardino. It's small, but again, this EU play style of, slow but suffocating. All that big flashy plays to just get the small thing afterwards, the neutral objective. But going back to Happen, I mean, you mentioned it. A very solid support. I'd argue one of the best in North America right now. I'd argue alongside Aurora. Just very solid. And I feel like this is a learning opportunity for Happen. He gets to play alongside players he doesn't really get to, play against too often. Sometimes we often see an adapting sort of squad from EU play in our NA tournaments. But this is an opportunity for Happen to learn this potential difference of play here from EU and also the communication style. How does veteran players like Adapting, like Benko, communicate in comms? And this is a huge learning opportunity, I think, for Happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very nice. I think it'll be how they want to work out. It's because these are talented players. You know what I mean? This isn't just Happen going with some run-of-the-mill crew. You've got very talented, long-time Smite players that Happen can work with. As a pluck forces beads away from LeChill, I think it's going to be very fruitful. What could also be fruitful is this gank over in solo lane. I'm taking a look at Adapting, and he's positioned a little high. Maybe looking to invade on the blue buff instead of just going outright for a kill. Lesmetics seems to be aware of Adapting's presence. They're still going to go for the burn on the blue anyways, 2-on-1, and they're not jumping just yet because Miguel showed up, and a rotation from other and other could lead to the death of one member of Smoke Break. So playing it safe there, presence over anything.
And the other another good rotation early to the right-hand side. Maybe susses out that blue buff is going to be invaded, and because we talk about this Yanis early, the Yanis playstyle is rotate early and often to side lanes with that ultimate. So the other another has to be the one rotating first, as Adapting using the teleporters again, but Calvin steals away the purple buff on the left-hand side.
No Calvin slander is permitted. Very nice play from Calvin. Whoa. The good swipes from Miguel will take down E-Chrome. Look at the damage from Daji. That caught me off guard for sure. But a Sigine Torment to follow through. Calvin doesn't have much mana to work with and gets plucked back under the tower. Takes a tower shot, eats it, jumps over the wall through soul expulsion. But Miguel's around to maybe help their friend. Calvin's not getting out alive, and neither is Miguel. 2 deaths for Smoke Break. You already know we're going to pick up a good transaction. They might have lost E-Chrome, but 2 kills makes it worth.
Yeah, I feel like you should have just left Calvin to die there if you're Miguel. I mean, the initial play to kill E-Chrome was fantastic. I mean, he got erased off the map there. Didn't expect that level of damage this early on from the Daji, but still Miguel made it work. And then Calvin just kind of sticks around too long, tries to overforce the play. I feel like LeChill was just in the left-hand lane, pushing the wave, farming, and that's all he needs to do right now. There's no real play after you kill E-Chrome. Just drop it, walk away. If Calvin dies there, it's support for ADC. You still got the purple buff. That's completely fine. Again, to me, Miguel just sticks around too long to try and bail out their support. And I think at some point, you just got to cut the losses and say, listen, I got ourselves a pretty solid lead on the left-hand side. LeChill is still farming, has a level lead because they're able to keep pushing that left-hand wave. It's just a huge victory that I feel like Smokebreak are punishing the mistakes of Yardino so early already.
9 minutes into the game, just about. It's a 1-3 on the scoreboard. A 2K gold lead favors Smokebreak so far. Both lanes are going to be getting pushers too. A new change to the ritual site means that both teams can get 75 crystal shards throughout the map and in the mid lane. and both can send pushers down lane to put some pressure out. Now, granted, usually the pushers matter more when there's one team getting him, but now if you want to clear those pushers out early and help yours get to a tower, that means that you could be going for some early gold through these towers.
Potentially here, and I do want to give another shout out there to Adapting, using that teleporter on the left-hand side again to just rotate over. I feel like I don't really see this often, but Adapting using these teleporters to be ready for potential buff invades, and I like this playstyle a lot. I feel like that's not something we see a lot of junglers do too often, is using the teleporter timer to be on par with your buff timer in a lane where you can't get there right away. And so Adapting plays the right-hand side jungle perfectly. He gets all his farm right, then he backs, and rather than go and reset his own jungle timers and go and clear that pathing, uses the teleporter to be ready for the buff invade. And so I love that identity. They don't get the buff at the very least, but at least Adapting is there to clean up the fight afterwards. And you want to give a quick shout out to SAP7, as our spectator pointed out. The Necronomicon second puts SAP7 in an interesting spot where if SAP7 starts fighting, starts getting kills, they're in a good spot, or an assist as well. They get a ton more power, but if they die, they lose a ton of that power.
Speaking of dying, Lesmetics getting chase under the tower, but will be just fine. Very close, though, it seemed like for a second, but healing will favor Artio there. Meanwhile, the Firebrands will get taken down by Adapting. Another round of rocks going their way, and Adapting's in a pretty good role right now. 2-0-1 is a pretty fair stat line. Has had multiple rounds of Firebrands go their way. I think this is a very good start for Smokebreak, but I'm wondering what their steps are to maybe further this gold lead even more. I mean, we haven't seen any Gold Furies yet. We've got to look at that sometime, right?
Yeah, at some point, but I feel like if you're Smokebreak, you're pretty content to go into the mid to late game. Let this ESET get into a pretty comfortable spot, rotate out into the Gold Fury fights with, 2 or 3 items. I mean, SAP7 has it was a 2-level lead. Now it's around a 1-level lead just because of the way the farming works. But I feel like this is just already a good start for Smokebreak, but they're happy to keep scaling as left-hand side Scrap.
Meteor Shower's thrown down, and Blades of Retribution from E-Chrome lurking in the waters, force away. The Learning Bow damage is almost enough to take down half of it, but escapes with 100 health. Adapting's going to jump in with the Typhoon, find a knock-up, and take down Calvin and the Chill with the help of E-Chrome. And the other another is a little bit late to the party, but Miguel's up front, does have the Powwow ready, and pulls in E-Chrome. Down he goes. Adapting getting yanked as well. Dragonflight finds a knock-up for a moment, but the Jolt Dash will get E-Chrome, or Adapting, back to safety. So things are good for, you already know. It looks like Smokebreak favored that transaction overall, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they got the better win there at the end of the day. They only lose E-Chrome again on the left-hand side, and Ishtar already a pretty unsafe ADC in this early game. Feel like you're pretty okay getting that trade out. But, I mean, we talked previously about how does Happen fit into this roster. That play there, to me, looks like Happen's been playing with this team for a long time, right? Happen goes in, baits a lot of important cooldowns, gets LeChill's jump, knows Adapting is just waiting for that Hui Yi jump. That's the safety tool of this backline that keeps this Hui Yi alive. As soon as that jump is down, Adapting all ins. I mean, the two stack on top of each other, the Hui Yi and Cerberus. Adapting gets a 2-man pull, drops all his cooldowns, and takes down the Hui Yi. That's just already that comfort level is there for the support there on Smokebreak, working so well with the rest of this team.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the nail. Exactly what you want from your support is what Happen gave them in that fight, and hopefully we can see more of that as the game goes on. We're 13 minutes in, and that gold lead starting to be furthered a little bit more. It's a little bit over 2K. We're about the same ballpark. Blink forced out, but unfortunately, it's not going to result in much thanks to the ult from another. CC immunity will prevent any type of pluck. So, blink for an ult, it is what it is.
I suppose, yeah. Kind of surprised that Happen goes for that at the very least. Maybe didn't know if the ultimate was up. So a bit of I feel like a misplay there for Happen, but that's not the end of the world just yet. I mean, Smokebreak haven't really forced any major fights, haven't really forced any major objectives. I can't imagine that you're looking for anything in the next 130 seconds anyway. So yeah, I mean, so often we see Sobex go for this Blink Relic and then don't do anything with it. So I don't mind that Happen is going for plays like that. If he doesn't get them, he doesn't get them, sure. But at the very least, we're using that Relic. We're not sitting on it like we often see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna sit there on off cooldown all game, and what'd you get it for? You know what I mean? What are you saving it for?
Exactly.
Christmas? Yeah, you gotta use it sometimes. And if it
New
might
Year's?
not be fruitful, New Year's, yeah, next year, Chinese New Year. What's the hold up? You know, let's use some of these cooldowns. Let's try and make some plays happen. But yeah, like we talked about it earlier. Sometimes it's gonna be a slow start. 2 to 5 feels very slow for an average day of Smite Prime, right? But that's that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. You know, you've got to let your fruit grow, right? The tree, harvest them and all that. Anyways,
Yeah, I've played Stardew Valley too. That's how that works. A
think
slow
Animal
gold
Crossing,
lead though. Oh, okay. Well, whatever your cup of tea is, but it's a slow gold build, right? For Smokebreak. Yeah. They're slowly finding windows, and it's off of these little scraps on the left-hand side. I mean, again, shout outs to adapting, being there at the right time with the teleport plays. And that's gotten them a pretty solid gold lead, despite Echrome taking 2 early spills, is pretty much on par here with LaChill on the left-hand side, a little ahead here with the Lassyrian Hammer. Going for an interesting build of Devo's Frenzy right into Titan's Bane, I would imagine here. Already putting this Ishtar in a pretty good spot to have good significant damage going to this, these objective fights as right-hand side, Listemics.
Typhoon's not going to find a knock. Sap 7 with Deadeye accuracy. Good lord, all the way from the Queen Naga, the Fire Giant pit. You said, that's a necro stack. Hand it over, big dog. I've been waiting on that for a minute. But meanwhile, you already know they're going to be going for this gold fury. And you already know they're going to want to get it. 2k health, but happens around. Doesn't have a sickening strike. Lurking in the waters. Maybe finds a pool. A chill secures it for you already know. So an objective pool is pretty nice there. Powwow doesn't find a yoink. Instead, you're going to hop right off of the totem pole. Calvin does find a pull through Stygian Torment, but that's going to be for Happen. Meanwhile, the rest of the team was looking at Echrome. Target priority might not have been exactly on point, but a Gold Fury makes it all worthwhile as Pyromancer is going to fall to Smokebreak in the meantime.
I don't know. I feel like I'd still favor Smokebreak at the end of the day for that trade. They kill Lestemics on the right-hand side, get Sap 7 a Necro stack, and yeah, you already know, get the Gold Fury, the first one of the game, but Smokebreak, they get the Pyromancer and the Queen Naga, most importantly here on the right-hand side. All of a sudden, Smokebreak feel like they're in a really good spot. That gold lead still building to their favor. It's around 3,000 favoring Smokebreak. And again, it's just that slow, steady climb of just pure map play. They're just finding wins kind of everywhere. Like it's look at it. It's a small dip there from that kill, and it's kind of evened out by the Gold Fury, and then it's another slow drop downward for Smokebreak because of the objectives afterwards.
One of my favorite changes book from the new patch we got, OB37. I don't know if you saw that ritual site had a gold bounty right above it. It'll tell you how much gold it's going to give you. No surprise. You don't have to memorize numbers from patch notes or anything. The game will just tell you how much gold you're going to earn. And that's even more gold favoring Smokebreak. What is that? Almost a 4K lead? 3.5 or something like that? I mean, that's such a good point to be in. And Smokebreak are just finding, like you said, around the map, little dubs, one after another. You lose a Gold Fury, I charge it to the game. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But meanwhile, you're getting pushers sent down lane. You're getting extra gold. It seems like Smokebreak know what they're doing when it comes to, like you said, the scoreboard might not mean too much because the gold lead is really what matters, and especially it matters in itemization right now.
For sure, as we see in mid lane, Pluck.
Very nice plug. Forces ult away from another. That's not going to stop Happen from charging forward. Lurking the waters, forces the slow. Around the corners, adapting with a nice yank. Another is taken out of position and into the grave. Powwow will yank 2, and Happen's going to find another pluck onto Miguel. 2 for 2 on the yanks. Very nice for Happen. You got to love the plucks that we're seeing from this Sobag.
Yeah, already in a good commanding position. Did a great job of baiting the ultimate there from the another, using that pluck in to force the ultimate. Then you pop their own ultimate as soon as the CC immunity ran out from the another's ultimate. And so they're able to chase down the Morgan Le Fay. Fire Giant being looked at here just 18.5 minutes in.
Calvin's into the pit with 3k health. You might have jumped in a tad bit early. Aegis forced away, and Smokebreaker going to turn around and take down Calvin before the FG even gets dropped. And down goes the Fire Giant. All 5 members of Smokebreak have FG belts around their waist. Obsidian Dagger in pocket for adapting. Now we're going to be looking at the mid lane where Les Medics is there. It's pulled by adapting. The good Mez from Echrome. Blades of Retribution already used too, but no more kills will be found. But we did get a bit of poke off and a tier 1 tower in the mid lane.
This is the EU's playstyle, just verbatim, right? Like it's the slow, steady climb, and all of a sudden the game explodes off of one team fight. Smoke break, kill 2 members, goes straight to the fire giant, kill another member there, and then take the objective. And all of a sudden this gold lead is out of control here. 4 stacks for the Necronomicon. If Sap 7 dies, we'll lose all 4 of those stacks. You lose 4 per death. It's a max of 6 stacks. And it's a ton of power behind this character, though, and has the Rod Tahuti as well. So just so much intelligence here for Sap 7. He's going to be swinging, especially once he gets that Ob Shard completed here on the Annis, which I imagine he'll lean towards next. Want to give a shout out to the Conduit Gem. We've been seeing so much Bluestone for a long time now, but I feel like Conduit Gem is incredibly underrated as a start item. It helps so much with these low clearing mages, and it helps them clear the waves in the early game. That's put Sap 7 in this position where he can kind of play to the rotate, to play really slow and make sure he's able to auto clear waves. I feel like this item is incredibly underrated, and with some recent changes, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing it more often on the mid lane mages.
Smokebreaker eyeing their first gold Fury, but they might push up for this tier 2 first and grab this off the map for even more gold. Calvin getting poked behind it. You forget that the storm shot goes through the tower, buddy. You gotta be careful. Calvin gets melted down like hot butter on a stovetop. 5 members of Smokebreak continuing to push up this left side and down Calvin 4v5. You already know, are down 1 man. Can they still defend this bird? Smokebreak seems to think they can, so they're going to walk away and go towards the mid lane. Maybe the Pyro? What are they eyeing?
I think they're eyeing Pyro or Gold, or they're going to go for the tier 2. They're weighing their options right now. I think more importantly, they're just trying to keep the waves pushed. They're actually just going to do both objectives at the same time. Adapting in Sap 7 on the right, doing the Pyro, and E-Chrome and Benko on the left-hand side just taking the Gold Fury, and there's nothing you already know can do about it.
They're splitting the map, but like usually when we talk about splitting the map, it's like one team grabbing one objective and then another team grabbing another. Smokebreak are splitting the map themselves, 2 and 2 on objectives, and Pyromancer's down. They already got FG a little bit earlier. They still have the buffs and their first gold Fury of the game. This is exactly what you talked about, just taking everything you can off the map, and even with only 8 kills favoring them, a 9k gold lead at the 22-minute mark. 9,000 gold favoring Smokebreak, and it's really showing in itemization right now.
Yeah, I feel like, when we talk about the EU playstyle, I'll just do it one more time here because I feel this is the perfect game of how this playstyle works. It's, slow, suffocating early game that gets you a small gold lead, around 2,500 gold. No one is better than the European playstyle of taking something small like a 2,500 gold lead and building it into something bigger. And that is what Smokebreak have essentially done this game. They use that lead to leverage, a play on the right-hand side. That gets them the Pyromancer and the Queen Naga. Okay, they have that advantage. Now they're going to use that advantage to get themselves 2 kills in the mid lane. That advantage nets them the Fire Giant, which also nets them a kill onto Calvin at the same time, which leads to a much bigger gold lead, and it just has gotten out of control here. And suddenly, you already know they have to play this style, where it's splitting the map, finding whatever farm they can on the left-hand side, push these towers, because Smokebreak, they're on the right. And they'll look to try and threaten a Phoenix here if you already know don't respond here, but they're really slow. They don't have a wave just yet. And so they're really slow to push this right-hand side. I feel like you already know, no, Benko has back to base to defend the left-hand side.
So this tier 2 is melting down very quickly. Whoa. Ow.
That's a tank,
I think that makes this talking point prevalent. Testai has been feeding us comms for the past couple minutes on how much intelligence Sap 7 has right now with this Necronomicon stacked up to 5 stacks, along with the Rada Tahuti, along with the Spirit Deso. And now that the FG stacks are gone, it isn't this much, but before, with Purple Buff and FG, it was like 800 something intelligence. Without Fire Giant, I'm getting live comms right now, 696 intelligence without the Fire Giant. That is spit nasty. Like, oh my god, this damage is wild, and unless they take down Sap 7 quickly to get rid of those Necro stacks, there's no way the damage slows down.
Yeah, and it's very hard to isolate this Yanis. Again, so much mobility, and you don't have a ton of lockdown CC outside of this Ardio. And how does Ardio ever chase down this Yanis in a team fight? It's going to be so difficult to lock down SAP7, but I agree. They have to do it to try and kill him, or to try and win this game even. Benko goes in.
Oh my god, look at the engage. Suji Torment knocks up 2 for a bit of counterplay, but not much that Lachil can do. Jumps over the wall and runs for their life, as the rest of you already know. Maybe go for a fight. Miguel jumped onto SAP7, but got dropped right after they jumped. So 2 dead for you already know, as another gets ran down by adapting. Calvin's on the run as well through mid lane. The Spirit Ball off the mark, but Echrome dashes through, throws a couple arrows, shoots him in the behind of Calvin. 3 dead for you already know. Lachil makes it back to the base and heals up, runs out, adapting, going with the rest of Smoke Break to the Fire Giant pit. It looks like they're going to go for another burn.
Yeah, they'll get this objective here. The Fire Giant, their second one of the game. There's nothing you already know can do about it. They find no kills despite some small windows of opportunity there. I mean, it's just SAP7. Everyone on the side of Yardy knows stack up for a clean Yanis ult. Hits about everyone in that small corridor. And all of a sudden, this gold lead, this experience lead, level 20 on a couple key, or almost everyone on the side of Smoke Break, except the support. And it's just 11,000 gold lead, almost 12,000, favoring Smoke Break. The gold lead is out of control. The experience lead is out of control. At the very least, a lot of the members of Smoke Break won't be getting stronger in terms of their levels, just their itemization that's going to keep building up. But I don't know, man. I feel like you already know they might be locked out of this game. It is very difficult to come back against a team like this, especially a team with so much experience. I mean, adapting, 2-time world champion, Benko, runner-up 2 years in a row, very solid solo laner, has been around for a long time. SAP7, always on the rise here. You know, played well, I think, I want to say SAP7 was at Worlds in Season 10. I could be wrong on that. I feel like I'm pretty good ball knower on who shows up to what world championships, but I can't recall. I do want to say SAP7 was there in Season 10. But Echrome's always been heralded as a pretty strong, significant ADC in EU. And then Happen, the kind of NA hero here, who's won and been very successful on, you know, the clocked ins, the overtimes in our North American Smite Prime rosters. A very successful team with a lot of veteranship presence here for Smoke Break.
Ancient Fury falls. Both side birds are debuffed, and you already know are on their last stand from what it looks like. Fire Giant belts around all 5 members of Smoke Break's waist, and debuffed birds means that Smoke Break can probably just walk in and deal some damage as they want to, right? But you already know are looking to make a final stand, defend what they have left of the Titan room, pluck off the mark just a tad by Happen. That's fine. Wait for the cooldown. You've got another pluck in about 10 seconds. You can play this slow. You've got the time for it as the minions walk in and they go for the burn. Only 2 Gold Fury pips means that this won't be the easiest burn ever, but they can still go for it. They have a lot of power. They're very much so ahead. I'd say try and rip it while you can.
Very difficult to step forward here, though. A lot of wave clear on the side of Yardino. But look at that portal damage now. Miguel in a 1v2.
Miguel getting pieced up, down to less than half. The Wing Gust will force Miguel onto the Palau, finds a yank, onto 1. Adapting seems to take a little bit of damage, but is fine right after. The rest of Yardino finally getting out of the base as Smoke Break go for the burn of the bird, and they take it down. So a bit of pressure applied on the left side. Smoke Break make their retreat right after.
They'll look for the tier 2 in mid here as well. They want to get this one for when the next Gold Fury spawns. They also have a Naga minion on the left-hand side pushing it down. Good silence.
Oh my goodness gracious, Lachil, you've got to be careful. Hops on out of there, throwing out some basics, but can't seem to find a whole lot of damage through. The pusher finally gets dropped. Smoke Break still have 5 with good health bars too. Not a lot of ultimates, but Lurking in the Waters is ready to go. A good pluck onto Calvin, right into a Spirit Ball stun. Will let Echrome get the kill. Lurking in the Waters, force away. Does a lot of damage onto less medics who try to dive into the back line and maybe get a bit of space for Yardino, but not much that you can do. He gets melted quickly and into the back line yet again. Another throws a clone out, trying to provide some space. Smoke Break want this bird, but you already know don't want to give it to him. That bird's not debuffed, by the way. So, I mean, it looks like they might have a chance to defend it, but with low health bars, they have to walk away, go back to the fountain, heal up, and then maybe defend the right one.
17 seconds on Calvin. They can go for this Smoke Break. They can get this right-hand side bird as well, and they'll break the base wide open.
2K on the bird, and whether another is spamming abilities. Look at the damage from Sap 7. Other another is just dropped. 1,300 damage on the ultimate. Good lord, Sap 7 is cranking numbers right now. Banco gets them out with Wing Gust as well, and decent damage through the Storm Shot. And look at what Chrome's doing, providing so much space for the team to do what they want to do. And bad news for You Already Know. You already know it's bad news, because 3 birds dead means that You Already Know can't leave the base whatsoever. You maybe have time to show up to FG for about 30 seconds, and then you need to report your butt right back to the Fountain Room, the Titan Room, to defend these upcoming birds and the Titan itself.
I mean, how do you step forward into this smoke break comp? I mean, whether it's Sap 7 throwing out the unstable vortexes or Echrome firing out the snipes on that upgraded one, or what do you do? It's just so impossible to walk forward into all this damage. Even the frontliners are having a really hard time playing forward here. This build that Echrome has gone for as well, very, kind of spicy almost. The Devourer's Gauntlet, a lot of strength, Frenzy, good chunk of basic attack power, and then, the Mushashi's Jewel Sword here, 4 crit and a little bit of movement speed, can play aggressive. Just so much strength and damage as Smokebreak looking to win this fight.
Wait. Sidine Torment finds a knockup on a 2, happens to trouble, but Banco takes down the chill, and diving into the back line, goes another, Adapting just dropped another, Calvin's dead as well, a double kill for Echrome, and Adapting, triple kill for Adapting, and You Already Know has been melted. They stepped out of the Titan Room for 1 singular second, and down all 5 go in the blink of an eye. Game 1's gonna go the way of Smokebreak.
I mean, that was sick. That was so sick from Adapting, setting up the snipe from Sap 7, goes in right at the right time, finds the pull, and Sap 7's ultimate just erases people on the side of You Already Know. What a play. What a strong performance for what I think is easily a top contender throughout this tournament. Smokebreak looking good and feeling confident, man.
Just amazing stuff right there. And it all started off with just little plays here and there. They fight for the meaningful stuff, a couple good ganks here and there from Adapting, let the snowball start for Smokebreak over in the duo side. And they don't prioritize Gold Fury too much, but they just want to show presence around the map here and there. Look, 15 minutes and only 5 kills, but the snipe from Sap 7 was so cold, man.
Okay, from the fire giant pit, right? And he's angling it where, Lestemix is nowhere close, nowhere close to that angle by the time he fires it, and just makes the calculation and the prediction of where he's gonna be by the time his ult kind of hits that area. Look at this ultimate as well. Just so many ultimates from Sap 7 in these fights that are game changing, honestly.
I feel like if Smokebreak is like a Marvel team of Marvel heroes, Sap 7's got to be Bullseye, right? The guy that doesn't miss anything, that's got to be Sap 7.
Sure.
Just amazing accuracy, and it just keeps going. Out throughout the game, snipes are just on point. Look at this one. I remember this one vividly.
Yeah, I feel like the other another is going to remember this one too. This pull into the ultimate, man. What do you do? Doesn't have Aegis, or no, does have Aegis. Doesn't even get a chance to use it there in that moment. The ultimate as well, still available to the other another, just didn't predict where Adapting would be in that moment and got erased off the map in a moment's notice. Nothing you could do. This Necronomicon build for Sap 7, gonna be interesting to see how it changes throughout the day, or if it continues to be the exact same play. Can anyone put pressure on this Yanis in the early game, kind of put Sap 7 in a spot where they don't feel comfortable going for a build like this? Because all you have to do is kill Sap 7, and suddenly that build loses a ton of its damage potential. But if you can't kill the Yanis, if you can't punish the Yanis at all for going this item, why not keep building it?
No, I think it's a very fair point, because you try to go for a kill, and next thing you know, he teleports to the wall, and you're like, what the heck? What am I going to do? You know what I mean? You can't do it as a Vulcan. Vulcan, all you have is a little backdash or whatever. You can't do it as, a couple other mid laners. But with this Giannis pick, I'd say go Necro every game. If you play like that, Sap 7 doesn't have a lot of risk, especially with the lack of dive that You Already Know had. I'd say rip that Necro every game of the day. So we'll see how that goes as we further on through the bracket. But before we do so, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a few. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's the Summer Bash here with Smite Prime. We've got an EU Conquest tournament getting cooked up today, and we've got a lot to talk about. Morty on the mic here. We've got a lot of the Prime crew behind the scenes. It's Testai, it's Jithins and Musey, and with me here in the booth, none other than Spirited Book as we take a look at the brackets and talk about what teams are going to be fighting today.
Yeah, we are going to be watching Theater Thugs versus 800 GPM, but we get a chance to see the whole bracket and where people are making their way up through. Smoke Break taking on No Chat down there. Obviously, some really good teams making their way through. I feel like that Smoke Break team has to be, kept an eye on. I feel like they're a really good team and potential favorites to win the whole thing. So, pay attention to where they kind of go and how they make their way through the bracket and what teams they potentially beat.
I still got my eyes on Inner Circle that are making their way up through the bracket. But the match that we're going to watch up next, it's Theater Thugs. And I really like how they've been playing. 800 GPM is going to give them a run for their money. But Theater Thugs, we talked about that a little bit before last game. They've got Inferno. They've got Raspy. They've got Tempo. They've got some players that have been around for quite some time. And it's not their first rodeo when it comes to, Smite 2 or Smite in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this to me is kind of a North America versus EU matchup in the amateur scene. There's no, big names here in terms of your Charios, your Adaptings, your Zapmans. No, it's just lots of kind of, higher tier but lower level, if that makes sense, in terms of players like Shadow, like you mentioned. But then you got Vives on the other side, you got Starpawn, the French Emperor, Wengu, Aim Blue on the side of 800 GPM. Just a lot of talent there. And I'm curious to see how these two teams decide to compete against each other. What is the priority and difference of these two play styles, the sort of lower tier North American scene versus the lower tier European scene?
And picks and bans too, not just playstyle in game, but what gods are going to be prioritized, what bans are going to be seeing. I feel like one thing that shocked me a little bit last game was the Kabrakan ban, right? Kabrakan tends to always make his way through picks and bans. Granted, he's one of the better solo laners. I won't argue with that by any means, but usually I don't see him, and a lot of other players don't see him as ban worthy. You know what I mean? But to see the Kabrakan ban last game kind of puts me at like, it's different from what I'm used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for sure it's something we're seeing a little more as of late. It's interesting to see if it goes through this game as we get set here for picks and bans of our next game between 800 GPM and Theater Thugs. I feel like Cabra probably will be a priority, whether it's in the picks and bans maybe, but I feel like there's other characters that just are higher priority. Oh, we're back here more. It's just you and me again.
Just me and you. We've got even more to talk about when it comes to these hypotheticals and, not even just picks and bans, but the players themselves. There's just a lot to talk about when it comes to matchups and how long these players have been around. Raspy ran with the former JDK crew, right? They've been running Joust tournaments throughout the entirety of Smite's existence from what it feels like. And Inferno, who's been a very long time player for quite a while too. I think there's a lot of lore to be explored. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see. You touched on picks and bans as well and what the priority is. I feel like Raspy, very solid, but not the largest of God pools. So where the priority is for these two teams in terms of what is being prioritized and what is being picked, I feel like is going to be important for the individual teams. Inferno is someone that can play a lot. I feel like Jingwei has to be a priority as well between these two teams. Maybe Aladdin. I feel like we're seeing a little bit more Aladdin as of late. Kind of mentioned it a little bit, the ban last game, and now looked at the stream over there for Adapting. And what is Adapting playing here in his next matchup? It's Aladdin, right? So clearly there is priority here for this pick, despite some nerfs coming through for the double stacking build of Book of Thoth and Transcendence. It's very interesting to see what the priority is in terms of these two regions and how it's changed and what characters people are playing, what builds people are going is also very different. E-Chrome last game, I have not seen a build like that kind of ever. I feel like that's a different ADC build. The Devourers into Frenzy. Yeah, that, pretty traditional. That's kind of what we've seen here and there. And then Titan's Bane third, like, okay, well, that's some early penetration, some good strength behind that. Oh, and then we go for some crit, the Musashi's dual sword. Oh, and then we go back into a little bit of kin size, like, oh, some some more on-hit damage, some penetration as well in terms of percent health damage. And then, oh, we're going to finish off the build with Deathbringer. Like a very different build that we don't see a lot of North American ADCs really go towards at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and everybody's, you know, taking their way into jungle practice and cooking up what they think is best. And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And in Ekrom's case, it seems to be working. It seems to very much so be working based on what we saw last game. You know what I mean? That was a decisive game that, you know, I feel like Ekrom didn't get a lot of time to shine and show what the build can do because we didn't see a lot of fights in general. And granted, you know, the only player that died on that team last game was Ekrom. Ekrom had to give his own life to make some of these plays for the grander vision of Smoke Break work out. He had to lose a couple lives. It is what it is. You know, that's what we have 1-ups for, right? The green mushroom. And that's what it's around for, you know, make sure you get right back into the game and then start operating how you need to. And aside from that, I mean, a couple spills here and there, it was a very fruitful build. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I think the EU playstyle really favors Devourer Gauntlets in general, right? You know, really want to spend a lot of time getting that strength online to the point where it can be beneficial. And I think why we don't see a lot of North American ADCs like Donut Doug go towards these Devo gloves is I feel like Doug seems to think that you need to be able to be strong and effective early as an ADC right now in the meta. You need to be strong early and you know, able to make an impact early. And so when you go towards these Devo gloves, you kind of have to sit back and wait a bit and, you know, farm that up, then get your second item to be a little more relevant versus the Avenging Blades, Lunarian Bows that we go towards early and often in the ADC builds right now. You could be active right when you get that first item. Problem is when you get later down the line and there's a Devo's Glove build versus a non-Devo's Glove build, the Devo's Glove build will always win out because it permanently scales. It permanently builds stacks off of last hits of minions. It will get stronger throughout the game to the point where you just keep permascaling. I mean, if the game goes 60 plus minutes, right, you're going to have what, 200 plus stacks maybe potentially at that point? Could be swinging. Just one-shotting people with one auto attack would be an interesting look for sure.
And speaking of these very high scaling items, one thing that we saw last game that was very fruitful, the Necronomicon from SAP 7, because, you know, he's on this god that doesn't get taken down as easily as a lot of other mid laners. You know, you've got the Nice with the backflip, you've got the Vulcans with the back dash, whatever. But then you've got this SAP 7 god with Giannis, you know, he can just go through walls, and with his ultimate go through multiple walls. He's got extra movement speed thanks to the 2. I mean, there's just, or the 3. There's so much to love about just high damage, high mobility Giannis, and this Necro allows him to just never get taken down really either. It's so amazing, you know, the amount of damage you can put out. We had Testai last game, our technical director, feeding us live comms. What is SAP 7's intelligence at? And with FG buffs and not even full build, we're sitting at like 900 something intelligence. Like, that's crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd how strong that item can be if you're allowed to utilize the full benefit of it. I think that is the issue, though, is can you use the full benefit of that item? And oftentimes a lot of gods like Ra that want to use an item like that would say no. Vulcan would love to use an item like that, but these are characters that don't have the mobility that Yanis does, or even Scylla. I feel like Scylla's in such an interesting spot where she is a character that I'm just surprised we don't see more of in mid lane in particular. I feel like the build does favor her right now with Conduit Gem seeing a rise and with Necronomicon seeing a rise.
Beaks and Bands, ready to go. Let's head on over and take a look at what gods we'll see taken away, what gods we'll see locked in, and what gods we might see taking over the Titan room for the enemy team. As you know, we've got a lot to look at for specifically for the band starting off. Afro is one who's been banned away quite a bit, not picked up too often, but definitely a nice god overall to have around, especially with, you know, these very methodical play styles. I think Afro offers so much counterplay. You know what I mean? It's hard to engage on a god like that. So let's just get rid of it.
Yeah, hard to engage on her, as well as, you know, whoever she's linked to. I think very strong in the support role, benefits really well with a lot of the active items right now. You know, Shell, Stampede, very effective. Screeching Gargoyle even can put yourself in a misposition, then use that ult to yoink yourself away back to an ally. Cabraban again for 800 GPM, just a character we're seeing a lot more as of late in the solo lane. You know, saw him a little bit kind of recently from Benny Q, who was playing aspect mid, but I feel like lately has been Cabrakan in the solo lane. You going for that full tank potential and just kind of keeping people locked down in place.
Horus pick. It's here. This is our first Horus pick in Smite Prime, from what it looks like. He's taking a lot of bans. A lot of people don't like going up against Horus, but for today, from what I've seen, this is Horus. He's here. And you know what? I've been so excited. This is a personal rant. I'm going to go on about it. I don't care. I love Horus. This is like one of my most played gods. I got Geb, I got Kepri, and I got Horus. Right. This guy is just electric. It's a euphoric style of gameplay that not a lot of other gods can offer. You've got such high mobility, and what you can bring to the table too when it comes to macro play. We talk a lot about how the EU play style is so focused around, let's get these objectives. We fight when we have to. And Horus can move you around the map so easily. The whole team, keep in mind, this isn't like a Apollo chariot or a Charon boat where you've got a limited amount of space within the Uber ride. You can fit all 5. This is an SUV here.
Yeah, I like this identity here. This, to me, these two comps already are screaming NA versus EU, right? You look at Theater Thugs and it's, lots of scrap potential between the Susano, Achilles, and Horus. Horus, a character that can get active really early. You look across the way, it's characters that want to spend a bit of time farming. The Jingwei wants those Devo's gloves stacked up. The Sylvanas going to play very slow, peel-oriented support. Morgan Le Fay doesn't really have a lot of engage ideas, just wants to kind of farm it out. Just already huge contrast here between these two teams in terms of drafting.
And you've got a lot of damage on the side of Theater Thugs. This is an incredible amount of damage. You've got Susano, who just blows people up, right? Achilles, who, if they don't get blown up, Fatal Strike, Execution, we'll clean up from there. Disco, who's got a lot of damage as well. We've seen a whole lot of Disco recently because Discordia can just slam out damage too. And Horus, who's, for a support focus god, I think he's got a pretty good amount of damage as well. That Fracture Updraft combo can really take away somebody's health bar. You're like, holy crap, he has no damage built. You know what I mean? Like, what in the world just happened? But on the other side, like you said, this is the very NA-focused comp. You've got Sylvanas, who's a very popular support as of recent, especially with Happen, Awilix getting picked up. This is a god that can really take advantage of the knockups from Yorm and Sylvanas. Both of these comps look very promising.
Yeah, shout outs to our lovely Anthony Malum hanging out in our live feedback chat in Smite Prime. Let us know that French Emperor loves the Awilix, loves this god in particular, is super sick with it. I'm super curious to see how it fits into this comp, because you look at the composition as a whole, it's knockups on knockups on knockups. Best form of CC in the game is knockup, right? Because it's a full animation kind of lock. It's not, something that's DRable where someone can be, stunned for a little less than they were previously stunned. It's a full animation of them being sent to the sky and then having to drop back down. That's why it's the best form of CC. Paired alongside the Awilix, who can really abuse knockups on their team, and easy knockups, right? Sylvanas blink ult. You have to commit the blink, but it's a big AoE ultimate, big AoE knockup ultimate. Jormungandr walks forward, gets the knockup. Jingwei has some setup CC with the knockup, can follow up really effectively. One of the best follow-up gods in the game. Morgan Le Fay also has that knockup in the Dragonflight, and so this Awilix really is a key part of this draft here for 800 GPM.
And it's not even just about the setup. You're right. The setup's very nice, but it's also the counterplay for the Hu Yi jump. Hu Yi says, I'm in a bad spot. I got to get out of here. Awilix says, come back here. I'm not done with you yet. I'm gonna put you back in and I'll take care of you from here. But we'll see how that interaction goes as we get into the game. It's ready for us. Theater Thugs up against 800 GPM, our second match of the day. And Musey back with another beautiful ambiance setup here. I love what you're doing for us here, Muse. Morty and Spirited Book in the booth right now, and Jithens, Testai, Musey behind the scenes. And we've got a lot to talk about, Book. The mic's yours.
Shadow has gone towards the Sash. No starter item here, and sometimes for a while we saw junglers go towards, blue stone in the jungle or a full Lucerian hammer, but hammer got a bit of a nerf here, and now kind of going towards this little bit cheaper option in the Sash. Its adaptive stat of strength or int. 25 strength going to go the way of Shadow here early on, just to allow him to clear more effectively in the jungle and then back to base and go towards a different starter option, because I feel like junglers still don't like going towards hammer, but they feel they have to go towards hammer. in the jungle right now. So if you can find another sort of way around going hammer and then back early for a different starter, I think they're going to be very happy about that. And you can see that in the form of the French Emperor going for the Gilded Arrow, just a little bit more bonus gold towards this Wheelix in the early game. Can focus on the last hits a little more, some early attack speed and attack damage that a Wheelix uses very well in the early game.
Yeah, a lot of extra gold. The attack speed. I think that's also, you got to keep in mind, Gravity Surge has that attack speed stim too. We talked so much about how Gravity Surge and it yanks people back. It's a big pull and all that, which are the very prevalent matters. But also, it's an attack speed boost that the French Emperor can definitely benefit from with the Gilded Arrow too. You have a lot of attack damage through there, so I think it's going to be very nice to see how French Emperor channels this Wheelix pick, which you've started to see more of time and time. It started off with Sun Prod, busting it out in AGL, then goes straight to Smite Prime with it, and then we see Layers over the past couple weeks really utilizing it. So French Emperor is following suit, and oh my god, the damage forces beads away from Inferno, gets grabbed by Nature's Grasp, and jumping on in for more. Oh my goodness, Ricochet off the mark. Oh! Hey, everybody. We're getting Comcasted today, chat. I don't know what's going on. A crazy first blood. Somebody else died too? My camera cut off. What happened? Shadow's dead?
Let's do some quick sleuthing. Yeah, Shadow died to the French Emperor at some point, and that's a good start for the Wheelix all of a sudden. Just in the driver's seat, getting active. Didn't even have to use the blink. Pull the beads off of Shadow as well at some point. And so already the French Emperor getting active in the early game on this pick.
So, I can't imagine how this happened. It's not like Shadow's invading the enemy jungle or anything. It's so funny. He died and then went right back to the enemy side jungle and said, I don't care about one death. I still want your farm. And he still shows up to solo side to push out this wave, get a bit of extra farm off the leech here, and then we go right to Firebrands. French Emperor seems to have the same kind of thought, but French is a little bit late to the party. And then we'll come back and go for the brands. I think that Emperor wants to jump in on this, but waiting for Wangyu to show up over there. The burn begins. Rotating over from mid lane is Raspy, but so is Aim Blue as well. So 3-on-3 by the brands, where can we find a knockup? No ultimates ready to go just yet. No, Aim Blue's got one, and so does Raspy. Throws the golden apple. Decent amount of damage dealt to Shadow. Timer is getting knocked up into the sky. No health and less mana to work with. French will hit the backflip and take down Timer. That's a good kill for 800 GPM, and looks like we're getting close to that point. Well, maybe not so close. 4 something, we're on the way.
Still playing aggressive, finds the pull there onto Raspy, and they're still looking for more. Aim Blue also on the hunt, but forced to Aegis.
What in the world was that pull? Did that really just happen? Oh my god, French is cold with it, but coming back after respawning, Timer's ready to get a bit of blood back, and Aim Blue is dead thanks to the combat dodge shield bash combo. Fatal strike ready to go. French could be toast in just a moment. Dives straight in for Shadow, knowing he's gonna die. He gave up the shutdown gold for the love of the game. It's all about bathing in blood over here on the right side jungle. You've got to love what 800 GPM are going for.
I like the initial play there on the right-hand side. It looked great. It was a good fight. They got a victory there, and then just kept chasing towards that red buff when I don't think that the French Emperor and Aim Blue needed to. And then even afterwards, pulling the Aegis, it's fine. It's great. But look at that graph. It was starting to climb downwards towards 800 GPM. Not to a crazy point, but just a slow climb downward. And then giving away that shutdown puts us right back at a near dead even gold lock. It's just unfortunate there that they over-regressed in the enemy jungle. Timer respawns, gets back to the fight. And you look at Theater Thug's composition. This is a comp that wants to scrap early. 800 GPM. We're very fortunate that, French Emperor got an early lead off of, an early kill onto Shadow, and then clearly used that leverage in the early game to continue to be aggressive around those Firebrands. And then after that, that's it. It's this play style of getting the objective that needs to be prioritized, not necessarily going towards the fights. Always.
So one thing I'm going to point out here, Tempo is going for this Breastplate of Valor. Horus is a very strong god, but he's got two big weaknesses, one of those being high cooldowns and the other being really high mana cost. This Breastplate of Valor will patch that up for Tempo. Excited to see, what will do we explore? And the Genji's Guard might get picked up later too. You really want to try and eliminate those cooldowns. We also really want to eliminate Timer, who's over here at solo lane. The Fatal Strike doesn't get body blocked, so Timer can dash back under the tier 1 tower. And with that 4-man rotation over to solo lane, that's going to let Theater Thugs walk straight over to the gold. Exactly. Shadow's walking over too, but Star Pawns across the way. Horus ult to the skies, and will they land? Nope, just gaining vision right now. Lands right in front, getting some vision, hits the Fracture updraft combo, but that's going to let her go right in. Can she take it? No. Inferno secures the Gold Fury, and Tempo is in a bit of a weird spot, looking for somewhere to dash to, but no friends around, so down goes the Horus. Tempo will fall. So another kill going to 800 GPM, but for a Gold Fury, I say it's worth.
Yeah, definitely worth their fourth. Well, maybe not. I mean, you did lose Raspy in the mid lane as well, and that was a unlucky spill for the mid laner there. And so 800 GPM, yeah, they lose the gold, but they have the gold lead all of a sudden off of those kills. Onto Tempo, onto Raspy. It's not anything crazy just yet, but feels like 800 GPM are just finding the better wins right now in this early game. And you look at the builds, you look at the comps, and you feel like you're favoring 800 GPM going into the mid to late game. Jormungandr will start to do good damage onto the backline, be aggressive there. Versus across the way, it feels like Theater Thugs, they have this kind of cutoff window where they start to not be as effective. The Horus can suddenly be punished for being so aggressive and being in your face with those high cooldowns, like you mentioned. As soon as they're all down, the Birdman can get punished. And so Theater Thugs have to be careful going into this mid game. There's a good strife there lands onto 800 GPM as the ritual is up, and we'll see the 3v3 grouping here in the mid lane.
Ritual side is getting fought over by 3-on-3.
Oh, good
Fracture in, followed by the Golden Apple. Very good damage thrown onto Vibes, but what will be the follow-up? Nature's Grasp pulls Tempo in for just a moment, and a lot of damage dealt from Raspy there too. 800 GPM are still in control of the Ritual site, but to the skies, in goes Horus, hits a knock-up, Fracture straight onto Aim Blue, but gets CC'd immune away by Aim Blue's ultimate. And another root from Raspy, just throwing abilities at each other. Who can poke who harder, really? It looks like the Ritual site will go in favor of Theater Thugs. They're going to drop it for just a moment, let the Fracture set up for Typhoon. Shadow's going to get a nice knock-up and a kill, but Tempo falls in the process. That's fine, though, because Shadow and Raspy are still alive. Support for support trade-off, so one-on-one so far. But, oh my god, the knock-up off Dragonflight, and then the Gravity Surge pull, so French Emperor can clean up, who's now 5-1. What an amazing stat line to start things off here.
Suddenly in a commanding position. Timer very low here as well on the right-hand side. Has to be careful about clearing this wave. Can't even do it because of Eye of Erebus. Can't step forward to the wave.
Jeez. That's unfortunate. That's just, you see the wave and you're like, please let me in. Let me go to the wave. But you can't, thanks to the eye. Love that item. It's such a nice start for a lot of Yorm players nowadays. It was Triton's Conch for quite a while, but when you see how much intelligence or strength, it's an adaptive stat that eye can give you, it provides so much in lane.
Yeah, I feel like it just kind of fits well with what Jormungandr does, which is just AoE space control with a lot of his pools that he likes to set up in fights and in the lane in particular as well to help clear, but also, punish you and poke you out from a distance. It just fits really well with that identity of having a little bit more poke, all in mid.
Golden Apple right onto Vibes. Decent damage dealt. The Nature's Grasp off the mark. Doesn't find a pull. And Tempo is able to fracture back and fight a stun. Maybe looking to save Shadow, but the stun doesn't land in time, so Shadow will fall. Raspy extremely low too, but the priority went to Shadow. Let's shut down the jungler, right? I don't think it's bad prio at all. Unfortunately, they only grabbed one kill. They looked for a few, but the grab was off the mark. Tempo all alone here in the mid lane. Wants to defend the tier 1 tower, updraft onto the minion wave, so maybe we can keep them from taking it, but Tempo can't do too much else.
Yeah, has to be careful here not to end up losing his life as French Emperor hunting here onto Inferno, who has beads.
playing the corner, hits the knockup, beats Force away, and a backflip over. Gravity Surge not ready just yet, but blinks right in. Horus sold a little bit too late to the skies, and it looks like the aircraft might have had a bit of a delay. Tempo gets taken down too, so that's the dual lane dead for Theater Thugs. 800 GPM will take this purple buff in response, and maybe even a Gold Fury.
Yeah, this should go the way of 800 GPM. Raspy on the way. I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything about it here. Vives clearly on the hunt, looking for pull, doesn't connect.
Ooh.
So 800 GPM will cycle back to the Gold Fury and probably take it. Shadow nearby, but not a lot he can do about it. French Emperor just running him down.
Yeah, 3-level lead. I mean, what can you do if you're Shadow right here? You know what I mean? Just give it up, Shadow. It is what it is. But I don't think Theater Thugs, now that they've got reinforcements, 3 members, not even including Shadow, heading right to the Gold Fury pit. It's down to 2K and 800 GPM. Drop it to fight.
Aim?
They want to take this right to him. And Aim Blue goes right for Raspy's head. We're going for more. French Emperor takes down Inferno. And Shadow's in a bit of a weird spot. Doesn't have a lot of reinforcements to work with. Tempo's on the run. Does have Protector Surge, but you can't fly that far. Your little bird wings won't take you there. Tempo dies too. That's 3 dead for 800 GPM yet again, and that's what you get for stepping into our Gold Fury pit, and they go right back to ripping it.
Aim Blue just walks from the right-hand side and walks right at the back line, and Theater Thugs duo lane of Tempo and Inferno keep walking forward and leave Raspy out to die. Just, oh, there's a Morgan Le Fay on our back line. It's fine, right? We gotta contest this Gold Fury. And then Aim Blue just kills Raspy. There's nothing they can do about it. And the fight just falls apart after that in such a small corridor, grouping for all that Morgan Le Fay damage and a Wheelix damage as well. And I kind of wanted to mention how it's a grouping versus anti-grouping composition. Discordia, a character that can punish you for grouping up and stacking on top of each other for these Sylvanas heals, but I feel like 800 GPM outside of that mid 3v3 we saw initially where Raspy was getting multiple, 3-man strifes. Outside of that, not a lot has really happened and this grouping hasn't been punished. Timer low.
Oh no, the World Servant able to escape back to their own side of the lane. Look at how much range you can cover from one side of the lane to the other. Literally, like that's tower to tower. So Wangyu is not afraid to play up that eye, especially with that ult available. Looks like they might want to collapse on Vibes instead, but then Fracture connects, followed by an updraft, but the damage isn't enough to follow through. It takes Vibes down a quarter health. He's got 3/4 left though, so I mean that's okay, and Wisp will heal him up too, so I don't think that 800 GPM are too worried about the damage from Theater Thugs as of yet. No, we'll worry about them later on. Nature's Grasp connects. Tempo might be a little bit worried though, especially with French Emperor diving over the wall. It takes a couple tower shots. Fracture combo is going to be able to put a lot of damage on, and the shutdown goes the way of Raspy. That's a lot of gold hitting the bank for Theater Thugs.
A lot of gold there. They do lose their support, but that is well worth. Maybe losing the tier 1 and mid won't be as worth though. So 800 GPM have to kind of back off after that. And Theater Thugs, I mean, they're finding some windows, and I feel like it's just punishing French Emperor for going too deep here and time again. But at the very least, French Emperor is still getting their team into a good spot as Vives looking here on an Inferno, but with the Hui aspect, Inferno just going to poke out the Sylvanas as there is a grouping here from Shadow. Level 11, though, on the Susano to the level 14 of Wheelix. I feel like Shadow just has to sit back and spend some time farming.
Yeah. I think you just got to relax a little bit.
Okay.
It's
More.
Yeah.
It's 1 item to 3 items in the jungle.
Ew. That's rough. that
Yeah.
is very rough. Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay,
Continue.
Golden Apple off the mark. Not much else to talk about. To the skies.
Tempo.
Maybe there's something to talk about. Tempo hits the fracture, so French can't jump over the wall. Screeching Gargoyle silence keeps the jump from hand. The CC combo's unreal there, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was pretty sick. I'm not going to lie there. Theater Thugs with a big win there, but they don't really get a lot off of it. They'll get the Moonlight pad in mid, maybe. That's kind of where they're grouping. No, they're grouping for the Queen Naga, actually. With Vives in left, this might be the first big mistake of the game here for 800 GPM. They're actually looking for a kill onto Wengu.
Wengu never dies. You got the ult. Wait. Oh, okay. There's no way he goes aggressive there, right? And then I guess that Aim Blue is around, so you've got some reinforcements, but the numbers game still favors Theater Thugs 2-4. And Timer's going to walk up to front line while the rest of Theater Thugs are focused on the burn and the Queen Naga. It's down to 3K, and it's burning very quickly, too. Down to 2K now. Looks like Wangu wants to go for a steal. Wangu's here as well. Who's going to end up taking it? It went to Theater Thugs, so that's a good burn. I mean, they successfully defended what they wanted. They got the OBJ, and they walked away. Shadow's going to fall for it, though. Timer did die a little bit earlier, too. 2 kills for Queen Naga. That's a weird one.
Yeah, I feel like it's not going to be worth again for Theater Thugs, though. They're going to end up losing their red buff and the Pyromancer as well. And so 800 GPM still finding wins here, despite losing a major objective. And I feel like they're okay with that. Tempo has arrived, though, and I don't feel like Horus can solo contest this. He might try and steal with Wind Gust. Oh, we got it!
Yeah! With the updraft empowered attack, Tempo stole it away. I mean, that is such a fine line to hit. You gotta pay respect where respect is due. My flowers go to you, Tempo.
That was pretty sick. I mean, that reminds me of a play Raffer made way back when in Season 6. It was the World Championship semifinals versus SK Gaming. Game 1, Raffer picks Horus, steals away a Gold Fury, despite, there's an E-set ult on the other side, there's Merlin burn damage there, and still just steals it away. Lovely play there from Tempo. And suddenly that gold lead, I was a little bit worried about getting out of control. It's still a gold lead for 800 GPM, and they're looking to keep building it with this Gold Fury, as the Jormungandr's here first, and now I don't feel like Theater Thugs feel comfortable contesting, but Horus ult in.
Maybe, we can run that play back to the skies. Ready to go. Dive straight into the Gold Fury pit with 1,000 health to its name. Who's going to take it? Shadow steals it. Shadow steals, and Theater Thugs run for their lives. Tempo dies immediately. Beads force away from Inferno, and he's not going to be able to escape, so French can catch up to him. Theater Thugs, yet again, lose 2 members, but get an objective. This seems to be a common theme for today.
Yeah, at the very least, 800 GPM with no hesitation. As soon as the engage comes through and they get the Gold Fury, do Theater Thugs, they hard engage to try and clean up and find some kills, and they'll get 2. Timer doesn't even get the tower on the right-hand side, has to back off as the rotation comes through. And this was what I was a little curious about. Are 800 GPM going to pull this? Yes, they will. Fire Giant, 18 minutes in. Stop me if you've heard that one before, Mort, because, yeah, that's exactly what happened last game.
Yeah, 5K on the FG, and it's getting burned quickly, but 800 GPM don't mind dropping so they can go for a kill or 2 on Timer, who gets yanked by Gravity Surge. Timer's got nowhere to go. Tries to Fatal Strike away, but not able to escape. Shadow's lurking on the left side, but not able to go anywhere either, because 800 GPM dropped the pounce once more. 2 dead for Theater Thugs, and the other 3, Raspy, Tempo, and Inferno, waiting in the wings, trying to make their way into the pit, but getting zoned away by Vibes. Starpawn secures the FG. Dagger in hand for Starpawn 2. And there goes the jump from French Emperor. No Gravity Surge is able to find a pull, but maybe a Nature's Grasp can take another life. Seems like Vibes can't find an angle. So 800 GPM are going to waltz over to the mid lane to take down that tier 2 instead.
Yeah, they got Naga minions pushing all 3 lanes as well. They can kind of do whatever they want in terms of where they want to push. They'll start with mid tier 2. Theater Thugs, they have respawned, and so I can't imagine 800 GPM keep going further. They have a lot of gold in hand right now, I feel like, on a lot of their members. They're going to want to back and spend, but French Emperor hunting here on the left-hand side, looking for Shadow.
And French Emperor around the corner, lurking, waiting for Shadow to step up, but Shadow might have read the room or might have just played it safe.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Golden Apple off the mark. French blinks over the wall, does not want to give their life as Pyromancer falls their way to the skies, finds the knockup and a stun off of Fracture, slowed down by Updraft, but a 3-man knockup off Vibes is going to make sure that French Emperor could escape maybe, but still on the chase. Look at Shadow back there gunning for French. Can French make it over the wall? Starpawn takes down Raspy in the process, and still on the great escape French Emperor might make it out. French Emperor turns things on Shadow. Timer still running from the rest of the team. Fire buffs still on 800 GPM, so Theater Thugs know they can't take this fight. Even with a tier 1 defending them, Nature's Grasp forces beads away from Inferno. The Meteor Shower thrown down to slow them down for just a moment. Tempo and Inferno still lurking, but check out Wangyu on the right side. Could be looking for a knock-up angle. Gravity Surge is almost up. Taken to the air for just a second. Tempo slowed down. Fracture dash to get to safety. Shell of Rebuke thrown down, and the Obsidian Dagger busted so Starpawn can get all the way healed up. Goodness gracious.
What a fight there. I mean, an attempt there to try and all in, but just not enough. Not enough to keep going and find that kill onto Shadow, or sorry, onto the French Emperor, and Shadow just commits so much, lands the ultimate, lands so much of their damage, but still just not enough. The blink was good from the French Emperor to get over the wall, the wind sprite as well to just keep buying time for cooldowns. So much they're committed to try and kill this Wheelix. It's not enough. They end up losing 2 members. The left-hand side tier 1 tower, but I mean, you do stall a fair bit of this Fire Giant now off of 800 GPM, and yeah, it's gotten out of control, this gold lead. It's 8,000 favoring 800 GPM, but it's not crazy there. That Fire Giant advantage isn't anything too crazy or anything like that.
Fracture goes in for a stun onto Wangyu, which forces him into the World Serpent. He's going to be going for a fight here. Wangyu takes down Tempo, who ran up a little bit too far. Those wings might have put you a little bit too close to the sun, but Timer is going to get yanked by Nature's Grasp, forces Fatal Strike away, but body blocked by Aim Blue. The Golden Apple thrown, and it bounces off the wall to land right onto the snake's head. That's fine. He ate it for breakfast. He likes apples anyway. Starpawn took down Gold Fury on the left side, and 800 GPM are marching up mid lane.
I mean, for a moment there, it was kind of, okay, it's not the end of the world. They got some big advantages off that fire. Pull in from Vives doesn't land. They're still looking for this Phoenix, though.
Okay, they're walking in, and check out Vibes, who's got maybe an angle for a grab. Around the corner, Shadow looking to pounce onto somebody from GPM. Tempo dives in yet again, but can't find an angle, can't find a setup. Inferno gets dove on by French, and now that Theater Thugs are down 3 members, this bird will burn with ease. Tier 2 towers up on the side lane, so the birds on the other angles can't be found, but at least this mid bird's dead.
Yeah, some big advantages going the way of 800 GPM. I was going to talk about how, you know, I was saying it's not a crazy lead off of that Fire Giant. It's a slow build yet again. They got some big kills, a tier 1 on the left. Nice. All right, that's it. That's a small starting point. And then they fought in mid and got way more kills, and now the mid bird falls as well. And so this Fire Giant for 800 GPM has put them in territory for the Theater Thugs. They are well and far behind. It is a very difficult climb. And speaking of, Raspy could be in trouble here.
Oh my god, but the Golden Apple back flipped over. French Emperor could care less about an ultimate from Raspy. He might not have gotten the kill, but he just got styled on by French. But a Fracture lands in. That's a 7-level lead, Tempo. You better be careful. Around the corners, Vibes, who could find a Nature's Grasp pull and maybe go for an angle. Fatal Strike away so Timer doesn't get yoinked.
Shadow has to be careful here. Doesn't get yoinked over the wall, but all the while, 800 GPM happy to group over here to the right-hand side, looking towards this next Fire Giant that has respawned. We're nowhere near EFG territory, and Theater Thugs have to be playing towards that. They're splitting the map at this point, saying, we can't even think about contesting. We're going to go to the left-hand side, try and stall out this game as much as humanly possible here. Maybe play for the late game if they can even get there, but that's a tall hill to climb here. 800 GPM looking to keep pushing their lead. They'll get the Fire Giant. Second one of the game, 24 minutes in, and they're looking to be in control to take this game and move on through our bracket here. But what do Theater Thugs do? I mean, you're looking for a Strife at this point that hits almost everyone and hoping you have enough damage at this point to hopefully all in the back line and just eviscerate them. But I feel like 800 GPM, we saw it in the mid lane when they were sieging the Phoenix. There was a big Strife there from Raspy, not enough follow-up damage to kill anyone.
800 GPM marching up the right lane, marching down the right lane, I should say, to collapse onto this bird and take down the second one. The mid lane bird still dead, and things are looking on the up and up for 800 GPM. They might turn the snowball into a decisive victory at a moment's notice. They just got to find one more pick. Ultimate's available for all 5 members of 800 GPM. They've got relics, they've got ults, they've got everything they need as the fight seems to start here. Wangu zoning in the front line does get dropped to less than half health, but hops right into the World Serpent, so they can start moving around, causing some havoc while the rest of 800 GPM drop the bird. It's down to less than half health now. The Pyro Bomb's thrown down too, but Tempo blinks right in and hits a stun and able to find a knockup through updraft too, but is it enough setup for Theater Thugs to follow through? Doesn't look like it. Wangu takes down the bird and Sarpon melts down Tempo. Raspy dies as well to Aim Blue. Sarpon melts Inferno and Shadow with a triple kill for 800 GPM to finish this game off. Looks like it's wrapped up, and we put a bow on it and hand it off to the remaining teams in the bracket. Theater Thugs have been taken down, and 800 GPM will rule the game.
What a game from 800 GPM, continuing to just perform fight after fight after fight. And man, oh man, French Emperor, have yourself a game, man. Just such a good performance. So many sick, microcosm plays there for this Awilix player in that game. Just what a lovely moment there. Especially the 1v1 there, trying to kill Raspy, hops over the apple there. Just so sick, man, from the French Emperor.
And it all starts with a little bit of play like this, right? I mean, Inferno, I really thought Theater Thugs were going to keep some type of pressure on this. Look at this. Oh,
Hou aspect, man. Hou aspect. It's just constant ricochets kind of everywhere. And you have to watch your angles constantly because there's always a stray ricochet auto attack on command here for this Hou.
Tempo is I feel like we had a pretty rough representation of Horus for his first game in. I feel like there's definitely a lot of setup potential for Horus and also some escape potential too through Protector Surge. It just it didn't quite work out. What they didn't need setup, they needed a little more peel. You know what I mean? I feel like the dive between French Emperor and Vibes, who was able to not really dive but more so bring people to them. You know what I mean? It's a really rough spot. What can Horus do?
Yeah, I think you just needed more follow-up damage. I mean, Discordia is nice in that she can create a lot of chaos, a lot of CC, but if the identity is we're gonna Horus Blinken stun someone, you want immediate burst follow-up damage, or at least enough damage like from Merlin combos, where you're whittling down their health bar to a point where they're either dead or irrelevant in the fight, and they just didn't really have that kind of damage there to follow up the Horus. I mean, Susano can kind of fit that build, but Shadow was just so far behind early on that they couldn't really be relevant in terms of damage. It's just very difficult to properly follow up here, and I think that's what kind of separates some of the mid laners right now. Is you'll see a lot of these top NA players in mid go towards the Discordia, and then you'll see the top tier of the mid laners go towards the likes of Raw from time to time, the Yanis from SAP 7 that we saw previously. So much burst damage to follow up off of one single piece of CC that you could be so relevant off of one ability.
And that's just how the cookie crumbles. I mean, Theater Thugs gave it their best, but at the end of the day, it came down to the play style that 800 GPM have, and they might not hit that 800 GPM threshold, but I'm sure at some points French Emperor probably got pretty close. I think it was cool to see. But we've got more games coming up. Next up, it's going to be Inner Circle up against the Good Glurp. So we'll be back in a few minutes after our ad break, and we'll get started on that. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Summer Bash with Smite Prime. We're here with an EU Conquest tournament, and we're making our way through the bracket. Morty here, and I've got Spirited Book with me here as well. Behind the scenes, it's Jithens, Test Die, and Musi, making all these pretty colors you see on screen happen. Let's take a look at the bracket and see exactly where we're at, what teams we saw, and what teams we'll be seeing next. And in the semifinals, what we're going to be watching is Inner Circle up against the Good Glurp.
Oh, okay. So Smoke Break have made it through. Last time I peeked Adapting stream between those breaks, I feel like Adapting wasn't, in a good spot. I think they were down 0-6 at one point in kills against this no chat team that they were playing previously. But now all of a sudden, it seems they've made it all the way through. But yeah, we get to watch Inner Circle versus the Good Glurp. And these are two of our top teams. This is a lot more competitive of an NA versus EU kind of game that we're looking to kind of expect, I suppose. As you know, previously we saw the kind of lower top tier teams against each other. Now we get to see some of our top teams against each other.
Yeah, and it's definitely some top players on these top teams. I've been a big advocator for Inner Circle since the get-go. Let's just take a trip down memory lane here, Book. We'll talk about the Founder Series, which was Smite 2's first competitive event ever, as we translate over into picks and bans here. Smite 2's first competitive event ever, the Founder Series, where a lot of teams, anybody can sign up, much like Smite Prime, open sign up, whoever wants to give it their best shot can. And a little team called Team Risk made it all the way to the grand finals, all the way in Vegas, and played in the last set ever. And I remember, I was there, right? Take a look at this. Founder Series. I was there, baby. And that's where Team Risk, 3 out of 5 members from that Team Risk team are here playing today. Theeks, Genetics, and Streak in their respective roles were there giving it their best shot up against Cyclone Spin, PBM, Benny Q. So this is a team that knows what it's like to be on that competitive level, not just for Smite, because I know you've got SPL knowledge too on some of these players, but also for Smite too.
Yeah, I think this is set to be a good one. I mean, we look at the matchups down the line here. Benny Q versus Theeks. That's a run back between these two mid laners. Deduin, obviously, a bit of a switch up here in the solo lane, if I'm not mistaken, because Variety was previously the solo laner on the side of Inner Circle, or sorry, Team Risk, when it was Team Risk, obviously. And so a bit of a switch up there. But I mean, outside of that, these matchups, Streak Up versus Hydrogen, that, I mean, arguably our top 2 ADCs of each individual region going up against each other, that's expected to probably be a heated matchup. I mean, Sunprod versus Coast, Coast, a former world champion, but over in the ADC role, now playing jungle, obviously, here for Inner Circle. Curious to see how that translates over, especially because we see a lot of, ADCs or traditional ADCs in the Hunter role right now. We've seen Hui previously. Now we're seeing a little more Apollo in the jungle as of late. So curious to see if that God pool translates over for Coast.
Yeah, that's honestly a really good mention. I feel like there's a couple different carry jungle, players that have moved around here and there. One I'm thinking about specifically is Tegvir. Tegvir, that team recently lost Hydrogen, right? Hydrogen, yep, who was a part of that long time clocked in roster, and then Paul retired. Then they became overtime, and then they started losing a couple games. And Hydrogen says, "Well, if you can't beat him, join him. What's going on, Sunprod?" And then join the Sunprod team. So now with Tegvir, who had to move over from jungle back to carry, which is what Tegvir played during the Founders Series, moving back and forth, so that changes up your God pool quite a bit, or it might not. Thor is going to be our first lock-in for Glurp.
Wow. I mean, Thor priority, I love it in theory, but Jingwei's open. You're kind of letting that one go through. I feel like we haven't really been seeing a lot of, the one-shot Hydros build. We're seeing a little more towards this all-in crit kind of style of Devos, and then you can either go towards the Frenzy Dagger, but no priority at all. Inner Circle going for Cabra Discordia instead. I mean, we've been seeing Cabra banned all day today. And so to let it through is very interesting here from the good Glurp. They must have an answer to it in the solo lane, probably in the form of this Thor. Sunprod is not a Thor player, in my opinion. Curious to see how it translates over, though, against this Cabrakan matchup.
Speaking of Evil, is going to get his hands on the Cerberus pick, which is very nice. I love the Cerb. You get a lot of setup. A lot of setup. So that's going to be really well. Pair that along with Thor, who might be going to Sunprod too. Granted, we've seen a lot of Thor recently in solo lane for the past couple months, but with the aspect catching a nerf, granted, it's not the hardest nerf ever. Who has been playing a lot of the Thor, though, is Sunprod. Yesterday, absolutely slammed it throughout. I think we saw 2 games, maybe 1 or 2 for Sunprod playing Thor for our monthly circuit, and he went hard. He went absolutely hard. So, okay. I mean, it could be going either way. It's a 50-50 dice roll here.
I think the idea is that it is a flex potential here. And so I think that is important here for the good Glurp, is they have a lot of flex potential. But man, this Jingwei priority is just out the window here. Neither ADC is going towards it now. The good Glurp have decided to go for On Her and Cupid as the answer here on the side of the Inner Circle. Cupid's in a very interesting spot right now. I don't think he's that bad. I think a lot of people have been like, Cupid, so bad, so useless, doesn't really do a whole lot. I feel like the build right now where we're seeing this slow play. You can kind of go towards Devos, can throw in a bracer if you really want to. Really changes things up here for this character.
This is a crazy comp, by the way.
This is crazy. What are we?
Probably Charon mid. We have seen a lot of Charon mid recently. You know, the damage is there. The scaling is starting to add up. You know, you can see a lot of damage. Kaidon actually really helped out with that a couple weeks ago. Kaidon slammed the Charon mid. And while the win rate might not be the highest, I think there's still a lot of potential to the viability. With even non-aspect too, you know, I thought the aspect of the Toll Keeper would make him a little bit more prevalent of a mid laner, but it seems like a lot of players are favoring the silence over the additional damage, really, which I think makes sense, right? You know, a silence, it's like a second long or a second and a half or something like that. The damage is pretty nice, but Genetics Yamoja.
Yep.
Ooh, chills, man. Chills. It's about to be a good game. Look at the one thing I've seen over here for Inner Circle is big circles. You got Cabrakan, you got Disco, Hunbat's Cupid with Fields of Love. You got big circles, big damage, and big wins.
I do worry a little bit about some of that damage. I mean, there's a ton of CC here on the side of Inner Circle, but I worry a bit where their damage is going to come from. And Cupid can provide some of that, but it's not to the same extreme as, say, the Hui or the On Her, even on the other side. I do worry a little bit about their damage, but it may not matter because they just have that much CC. This Yamoja lockdown potential is so good. The Kraken, the OG kind of lockdown god, just keeps you stunned in place for 5 years. Humbots, that big fear no evil ultimate, could go towards the aspect, but with how little damage there is, wouldn't be surprised if it's just non-aspect traditional Humbots go for a little more damage on this character because you got your Discordia mid there to provide more CC should you need it. But it is very ease of access CC for this Humbot. So maybe going towards the aspect wouldn't be the worst idea, just to use it as a potential beads pulling tool. Across the way for this, the good Glurp comp, what is going where? Serb support probably, on her ADC, Thor jungle, Atlas aspect mid potentially. We've seen Benny Q play it previously.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of options here. It could be on her mid. It could be like Charon carry. No, I'm just kidding. Throw some crazy stuff at you here. Just wanted to make sure you're awake and alive because game's ready for us. We're going in. The good Glurp up against the Inner Circle, and we're going to see who's going to be taking this game on to move on down the bracket and make their way into the finals, because that's next up. These are the semis here. Morty and Spirited Book in the booth, and Testai, Musi, and Jithin's behind the scenes. Let's take a look at what we got here, Book.
Yeah, Charon mid, no aspect here. So going towards that, having access to that silence. I feel like despite the aspect having more damage to the kit, that silence and utility behind this character is so good that going for the non-aspect identity for Charon is just a little bit better. It can really punish mages as well, not allowing them to cast and do whatever they want in little 1v1 scraps or even in little 2v2 or 3v3s when you're fighting for the Moonlight Ritual. I like this idea here for Benny Q. It is Atlas in the soul lane and Sunprod rocking the Thor. Again, I've been saying for a hot minute that Thor is probably the best god in the game, and I still stand by that in comp for another week while Bastet is comp banned, so I'm okay with that stance for now. I mean, I think this is a different identity than we're used to seeing from Sunprod traditionally, where it was, I'm going to play the Thanatoses, the Sasanos, and I'm going to hard carry. And Thor can hard carry, but he's a lot more of a more setup style of character with the walls, the ultimate in the stun can provide CC for your carries to follow up. I speak no evil, low and dead.
Moonstrike damage is unreal. We look over for the quip too. We look over for 45 seconds and Genetics already gets a kill. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good look here for this Inner Circle comp. On the left-hand side, they get the shell as well from Speak No Evil, and now they're just looking for more here. Level 2 versus level 1. They can keep pressuring out this dual lane that, in theory, should have pressure, but let's be real, Yamoja just always has free pressure over here on the left-hand side.
Yeah, it's going to take a gank from Coast to really show this dual lane for Inner Circle. Like, it's not as easy as you think, you know what I mean? But we'll see if we get that rotation in a little bit. You got to be ready because there's neutral camps to fight over, the Oracles that spawn, the Firebrands that'll be up at about a minute and a half. A lot more on the map to look at than just the dual lane.
For sure. As we do see a scrap over here in mid lane. Prod pushing out Theeks for this neutral purple. Does allow Coast to just farm this left-hand side, these oracles at the very least, and just a bit of a trade around the mid 2v2. I like the idea here for Coast as well. Hasn't gone towards the aspect, is going to rock the full damage of this Hunbots, and just needs to spend a bit of time farming. The race to level 5 between these two junglers will be pivotal. Who can look to make a big, impactful, team fight ultimate first, for a gank, for just a little play in the side lane, something, minuscule to net themselves a bigger lead, as that's kind of what we've been seeing all day today, is just small victories that lead to much bigger victories down the road.
Interesting mention that I'm thinking back to. We talk about Speak No Evil and their fruitful endeavors in recent Smite Prime events, and I'm thinking, back when Clocked In first started their rampage of winning month after month, there were a couple events where Happen wasn't able to make it. You know who went in? Speak No Evil.
Speak No. Yeah, Speak No. As Sunprod ganking here on the right.
Oh, very nice shell. So to do and say okay.
Yeah. But no, I mean, yeah, Speak No was the support for Clocked In before Happen even joined the team, I believe, previously. And then when Happen, I think, or Happen wasn't able to make a couple weeks, like you mentioned, I think, as well. Speak No would always step in, and he is the listed sub as a 2v2 in right.
But looks like Inner Circle be able to retreat back with a little bit over half health. That's going to let the Firebrands go the way of Good Glurp. They've got 3 members, Benikyu, Sunprod, and Zav, all on top of it. Burn it down very quickly. Inner Circle feel that they don't need to contest it, really. I mean, it's one round of Brands. What could that hurt,
Yeah, a lot of veteranship experience here on the side of Inner Circle. I mean, Deduin has been very successful as of late in Smite 2. Coast, I mean, again, Season 10 World Championship in a different role, but still has that experience. Theeks, Genetics, Streak, obviously former teammates on that Team Risk team that made it all the way to finals at Vegas before being stumped out by 5Ms and an Aladdin in Game 5, obviously. Very tough to deal with that one, but right. I mean, now on this new team, different jungler, different soul laner. They're looking to make their way up through the ranks of Smite Prime over here in EU and look for a potential win. Look to take down this NA roster that is, of course, playing on ping. And so the ping conversation, I feel like, has to be talked about a little bit. There's a lot of characters here that don't really require high execution, right? Like Thor is relatively, quote unquote, easy to play, right? Like you go in, you land this big line skill shot, Thor wall. The Thor hammer could be a little tricky, sure, and the timing of when you're teleporting in. But, you got Atlas, you got Charon, a lot of big AoE circles on their side as Speak No getting poked out here.
Strike. Good damage on to Speak No, but looks like they'll be just fine. The Moonstrike did connect, and we got some damage off, but Sunprod rotating over left side, looking to at least gank and show some presence. I don't know if we get any kills off this. Forces beads away from Streak, so that's at least a relic pool. Check out Coast, who's there to respond. Does have an ultimate, Fear No Evil ready. Rivers beads locks down Sunprod for a moment. Moonstrike off the mark, but we're spamming our one. Fear No Evil's there, and down goes Sunprod. Coast with an amazing rotation will result in a kill for Inner Circle, their second of the game.
Sunprod commits the hammer to the left-hand side on his gank and forces the beads from Streak, sure, and then plays forward and holds the ultimate there once they get trapped. Didn't really expect Coast to be on the other side of that wall. And so Inner Circle looked to pull the Gold Fury for a moment, but as soon as Benikyu rotates over, they'll back off, trying to sneak that one away, but the good Glurp ready for it. And so Sunprod punished, doesn't have to use the beads though, at the very least, still has that relic available to them. And still has ultimate, so can make a play here in side lanes if they should choose. Look for another play onto Streak, who is beadsless.
So 6 minutes into the game, 0-2. We still got a goose egg for Good Glurp, but 2 kills for Inner Circle. It's about a 1,000 gold lead, a little bit over that. Thanks, Muse. We got it's a lead, right? It's pretty minute at a stage of the game like this. It's not really going to affect itemization or anything. It might be favoring momentum at the most. We're talking about mindsets. That could be, really the only thing it affects too heavily. But I don't think either team is ruled out by any means. We got a lot of game to go here, Book.
Oh, for sure. But I feel like between these two comps so far, Inner Circle, you feel comfortable going into the mid to late game. I feel like they scale really well here. They get good team fight ultimates off. in fights. Across the way, I feel like people start to fall off. And shoutouts to Midgardian Male here. Maybe looking to focus on Streak in particular, just be active in his face. Or Speak No. Just deny some of his potential attack speed. And maybe just punish the Cupid, be in his face, pop the ultimate, force the beats, and the rest of the team will do the work after.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice target considering that Streak went for this early Learny Bow, which provides 30% attack speed very early on. I mean, that Midgard will shut down that attack speed bonus and take a lot of value out of the item, in my opinion. Sunprod lands over right side. We're going for a gank on Inner Circle's dual lane, but looks like Streak is going to be able to get to a couple hundred health and stay under the tower. Meanwhile, Genetics is face tanking everything and spamming his one, slamming Speak No, who ends up dying there. Sunprod on the run, and Genetics has one Moon Strike. Can you make it count? Can't find the kill, but that's okay. At least you got one in response to a gank, and Coast is here as well. Does have Fear No Evil ready, but won't invest it into the gank. Instead, will wait and maybe play Rat over the wall.
I think he's going to look for a potential invade here, and that's a good look there for the Inner Circle. This team just punishing the aggression on the left-hand side. This is not an easy 2v2 to dive. This Yamoja Cupid has so much sustain between the two of them and so much anti-dive in the Fields of Love. The Yemo ult as well. Perfect angle there from Genetics to just deny the good Glurp from chasing on to kill Streak, and the Cupid ends up living.
Okay, look at Benny Q. Goes in for the root, forces beads away from Theeks, and here comes Sunprod and Vaporish Coast, who does have the Fear No Evil, but I guess we're saving it for next year. We don't even need it. You know what? Because we got the kill on Sunprod, and Coastal chasing down Benny Q. Glad he saved it, because what a worthy investment. Followed by the Atlas ult, though, looking to slam down some damage, and the Gamma Ray burst is dropping health bars. Vaporish Coast extremely low, but no kill found for Good Glurp. They did lose Sunprod, though, so a worthy transaction for Inner Circle.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten a chance to touch on this Atlas pick in the soul lane for Zav just yet, but able to just kind of play the spacing game with the one, able to clear the wave just like that. I mean, can avoid walking up forward to this Kabrakan and avoid a lot of what Kabrakan wants to do in this early game. You saw already the amount of damage this character can provide, and just denied to doing safety. Just moments like that, able to pull him away, throw him away from the wave, slow the wave clear down so that the next wave pulls up first. So Zav can start clearing that one already before Deduin's even cleared the wave before. And so some answers there from the Good Glurp, but it's all Inner Circle right now in this early game, continuing to find wins and kills here. I don't know, man. I kind of mentioned Sunprod to me isn't the best, you know, in my opinion, one of the biggest Thor players. And it's moments like this where they lack the consistency, in my opinion. You'll see Lairs play Thor and, you know, constantly play it the same way, where Sunprod will kind of is more of a rhythm player, will really feel himself if he gets the ball rolling early, but if he doesn't, he has moments like this. But here, we're looking for a play on Genetics, has that ultimate though,
and throws down the Rivers of Buke, able to spam a couple more ones to get some damage out the door, while Coast shows up and does have an ultimate ready to go. Where will Sunprod land? A safety to defend Speak No Evil. The transaction might end there, but Inner Circle are going to grab the purple buff before they walk away. Take a little bit of resource. Paralyzing Spit off the mark. A Riptide pulls Speak No Evil out and has the Soul Expulsion over the wall. SNE is fine. Inner Circle get what they want too, so a win-win, I guess?
At the end of the day, sure. But again, Inner Circle got the purple buff invade. They were aggressive on the left-hand side. They found some small victories. Sunprod learns from his mistakes, though, there on the left-hand side. Realizes he's getting Yamoja walled. Probably realizes that rotation's coming through. Pops the ult immediately. Doesn't try and hold it and lives. And so that's a big moment there. And so there are windows here for the Good Glurp. They're not losing anything too crazy, but they need to start finding wins. They've kind of just let the game go the way of Inner Circle so far. They need to start making... It's weird because they're making proactive plays, right? Sunprod's there first. He's trying to make a play onto Genetics, poke him down, maybe make a play for gold after, but it doesn't really work out. And so maybe trying to change things up, maybe look for the right-hand side. And that's exactly what Sunprod is doing, looking for a play onto Deduin.
And then just trying to play it safe, you know, make sure he doesn't get spotted. And you mentioned Genetics. Speaking of Genetics, I think he's due for some glaze, right? More than double the player damage of anybody else below him. And that's with a Stampede and a Shell of Rebuke. No, not a lick of intelligence after Bluestone. Just pure tank and spamming abilities. I mean, that is skill at its finest. Shout out Genetics for putting this Inner Circle team, lining up where they need to be.
Yeah, Genetics, definitely a leader and a vocal player for this team for sure, leading the boys along the way. Multiple ultimates that have done just good angles to lock people in or deny space, or angles where the good Glurp want to walk. And so keeps his carry alive consistently here as well. Streak has been under duress a few times now and has now gotten himself a kill because of all the angles on the left-hand side. But outside of that, the gold lead's still just sitting at around 2,500 for Inner Circle. They haven't really done anything crazy just yet to keep building that lead. They're kind of just waiting for their power spikes at this point. They can let the game keep slowly coming to them. Maybe look for a window of opportunity around this Gold Fury, because Hydrogen has backed off, and now it's Speak No Evil. May have put himself in a bad spot here playing forward. No, it's Benny Q.
Oh my, Rivers of Buke is going to make sure Benny Q is zoned away. Decent damage comes through, and a lot for Benny Q as he throws the summon sticks and hurts a bit of the back line for Inner Circle. Mending Waters will help them just a tad thanks to Genetics. And look at Ghost, jumps over the wall, hits the overhead smash, teleports in, and a Fear No Evil in response. The ability rotation from Ghost will drop Benny's health bar and rock the boat in a big way. Genetics still trying to zone away Sunprod, hits the Moonstrike, somersaults in, another overhead smash, hits the 3 and teleports in. Triple kill for Coast. Talk about a wombo combo. Inner Circle are starting to find their rhythm.
Yeah, Coast is feeling himself here on this Humbot. One of his more comfortable jungle picks. Anytime I've seen him, in the jungle, it's usually on this pick, and it's one of those characters that's a little, kind of difficult to execute in terms of the full combo. Hydrogen has to be careful on the left-hand side, but the target is there. Inner Circle pulling towards the Gold Fury. The good Glurp need to find a window soon. 7-0 in the kills.
One good paralyzing spit could seal this away. SNE is in there, but not able to steal. Golden Apple hits Speak No right on the head top, and he says, ow, and then walks away.
So the good Glurp, again, need to find something. Is it this Pyromancer? Is it this Queen Naga that's due to spawn in a minute? I'm not so certain. I feel like they're kind of just slowly falling behind here. You start to look at itemization. The ADCs are even, but Streak hasn't backed in a moment. That gold lead is starting to get a little out of hand. Expect him to hit third item spike before Hydrogen. Sunprod as well. Even for now, a lot of these items are just starting to come through here for Inner Circle. They're just finishing up their second items. Haven't backed fully yet to base. His left-hand side.
Hey. Go ahead. Now, the floor is yours. Nothing to talk about there.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. Hydrogen got the speed at least, That's good secure.
It's worth. Anyways.
Queen Naga's up in 20 seconds. As we do see both supports here on the left-hand side. Speak No just trying to hold the wave. Has to be careful though. It doesn't get punished. A lot of CC between these this 2v2.
Killer Pin didn't quite work out. Queen Naga about to spawn 15 minutes in, and it's a 6K gold lead for Inner Circle. 7-0 is the scoreboard. Good Glurp have yet to get rid of the goose egg so far, which is a bit of a shocker considering the roster. You'd think they'd really be bringing the damage, but I'm sure they're gunning for a late game, right? That's what I see out of this comp as, we start to get farmed up and ready to go as the game moves forward.
Yeah, I kind of think you have to at this point. You have to start playing towards the late game. You have to start just trying to find windows and angles into the game as Queen Naga's up and neither team is prioritizing it. Both junglers on the left-hand side. Benny Q still in mid while Theeks is on the rotation here. Trying to set up a potential dive here.
Sunprod is pathing very high. Rivers of Buke is out, and Genetics looking for some type of kill here. And Sunprod goes back under the tower, says, never mind, I smell Coast. I need to leave. I have to go now. There's no way we win this. Good Glurp playing it very safe. Sunprod doing his absolute best to avoid eye contact with Coast because you know what he can do. Coast not giving up, going past the tier 2 tower, almost diving, and Sunprod says, I'm ulting. I'm leaving. I've got nothing that you want. But look at Benny Q. Summon 6 won't save his life. The tremor's thrown down from the doing to make sure that Benny Q catches a lot of damage. Vaporish Coast. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. The damage is online for Inner Circle. Down goes Benny Q once more. The boat has been rocked yet again, and the hole has a hole in it. The Pyromancer is about to get burned away. No. The Queen Naga is going to get burned. A very nice play.
Yep. I mean, I was just about to say, Benny Q, good wall there from Sunprod to keep his mid laner alive, and then Benny Q gets blinked on by Vaporsche Coast and just takes a spill. Unfortunate there, and I feel like the good Glurp just feeling really slow right now. They're not really. They tried to be proactive early, and they tried to be fast and loose, and it didn't work out. And now it just feels like they're starting to slow down. They're not responding to these rotations from Inner Circle really at all. It was just Benny Q alone in the mid lane. People showed up late to the party, and by then, Benny Q, half HP, can't really stand and fight. And so Inner Circle continuing to snowball their lead. They get themselves the Queen Naga, the mid tier 2 as well. Now all of a sudden, they're in a commanding position here with their gold lead. Sunprod trying to find farm alongside Hydrogen, but see Genetics on the way here.
Fields of Love thrown down to slow down or take the beads away from Sunprod. That's a relic pool. Genetics is not giving up. He takes the Riptide in and going to chase after. Does have Rivers of Butte to work with, but with the jungler around, there's 3 members of Good Glurp. The numbers game doesn't favor Inner Circle, so Genetics will put a stop in his tracks and grab some vision.
Just kind of take it easy, grab the farm on the left-hand side, keep pushing this left-hand side. They're just grabbing vision mostly right now to set up for this next Gold Fury that is available to them. They want to keep building this lead to a point where it's insurmountable. Hydrogen alone on the left, though, and is in a lot of trouble here.
This is definitely bad news for Good Glurp. The Gamma Ray burst thrown down to find a bit of poke damage, but doesn't really hurt anybody from Inner Circle too much. But the Summit Stick's thrown right at Inner Circle. Will they respond? They just walk out of the radius of it. Good response. Inner Circle are ready for about anything that Good Glurp can throw at them with ultimates down. Good Glurp don't have a whole lot of engage. The tier 2 tower falls down quickly. A very nice golden apple from Theeks will set up for a kill on SNE. Down goes their support for Good Glurp, but the Fear No Evil in response to doing takes down another. Zav is dead and 2 members down for Good Glurp. That means that Inner Circle could probably pounce on this left side bird, and Good Glurp can do nothing but watch.
This might, no, okay, I was curious if it might be game if they find another kill, but Hydrogen and Benny Q space it perfectly. They don't go too far forward, but Inner Circle, they don't need to back off for the Gold Fury. They have such a crazy lead. They can keep forcing mid.
So, I'm wondering, I mean, Good Glurp are looking and trying to silence and maybe stop what Inner Circle can do, but it's a hard game to play. The beads pulled from Benny Q. Fields of Love thrown down as Sunprod lands from the skies. Inner Circle are still fighting back, though. Streak has massive damage from the Cupid basics. The Duin will slam down another once more. The dual lane dead for Good Glurp yet again, and the mid lane bird is being targeted down to less than half, and Inner Circle are not letting off the gas. Take the middle bird, and they retreat from there. FG is surely on their agenda after this.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like they probably want to reset and then immediately go towards Fire Giant here.
Yep.
I mean, 19 minutes in, 12-0 in kills. It's a toughie here for the Good Glurp. Inner Circle just looking so confident, so ready for what the Good Glurp want to do. I mean, Speak No Evil gets a 2-man ultimate, sure, but fires 2 frontliners, or I guess Duduin and Porsche Coast, right into the face of Hydrogen, and Hydrogen doesn't really have the items to deal with those 2 just yet, and just gets destroyed immediately, and there's nothing the Good Glurp can do about it. And so all of a sudden, you just have to say, all right, they probably get Fire Giant here. Let's send Hydrogen to the left-hand side to farm, because we are just so far behind. We can't really contest this right now. They have such a crazy lead, and Inner Circle can take their time. They can do the Pyromancer whenever. They can do the Fire Giant immediately after, getting themselves a few more secure tools. But Inner Circle aren't pushing as quickly as one would expect right now. You can see they're grouping on this right-hand side, but they're just taking the free gold. They're pushing right. They're taking the tier 1 tower. And then, maybe then, they'll look towards the Fire Giant. But maybe they'll just keep sieging. They don't need to throw around an objective like Fire Giant, risk the Good Glurp stealing it away. Maybe they're just content to take the standing gold off the map.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best way for them to go about it. You know, just let's play it safe, play it chill, and We'll find an opportunity at one point or another, and we'll bring it back, right? Maybe not. Inner Circle are running up the right side. They took down that tier 1. Coast is looking to escape from a couple members of Good Glurp, while the rest of Inner Circle are on this tier 2. They take it down, and they group up, and where will they go? Will they try and find a fight? This Rivers of Butte could easily take advantage of SNE, but a solo expulsion over the wall, or through the river, I should say, will make sure that Good Glurp don't lose anybody. Yet the Riptide from Genetics will pull back Speak No Evil. Theeks is able to capitalize, throw some damage. Down goes SNE yet again. Good Glurp are losing members one after the other, and now Inner Circle can run back to Pyro, to FG, to Gold Fury, whatever they want. The world is their oyster.
Yeah, absolutely. Pyromancer are going to go down here. Probably the fire as well. No, they might go for an end. They're grouping, and there's two Phoenixes down. They're looking for hydrogen.
Nah, they're going to bounce some somersaults in, and hydrogen is dead. Dance on him, too. Coast, please show some mercy. Good Glurp are playing on your servers, and that's how you're doing it? That is crazy. Inner Circle walk up as 5. No Fire Giant buffs needed. Just nothing but aura. Fields of Love thrown down. The sun maybe helps from Sun Prod. Summon Sticks to maybe distract for just a moment. Gamma Ray Burst will break down Streak. And in goes Sun Prod as well, but locks him down for just a moment. Finds a stun onto Sun Prod, who hammers back to the fountain saying, okay, I didn't want all that, big dog. Let's chill out for a minute. I just wanted Cupid's life. You can have whatever you want from there. Inner Circle might not find an end game, but man, are they going for kills.
Big kill there onto Streak, denies the end call there from Inner Circle, and suddenly the Good Glurp, they're on the board, they got a kill, and it goes the way of the Atlas at the very least. But Inner Circle, now they can't do the Gold Fury, they can't do the Fire Giant, they have to send their members back to base, wait for Streak to respawn, and I feel like now after an attempted end call, they'll probably do a little more homework and take the Fire Giant before trying to go for an end here. All the while, the Good Glurp, they get to spend some time farming. See hydrogen on this left-hand side, just trying to get a little bit more gold, finish this next item up before they want to rotate on over, but still, it's a 12,000 gold lead. Inner Circle, they lose one member, they don't end the game, but they're still in such a commanding position. It's going to take a couple more blunders for the Good Glurp to get back into this one.
Yeah, to say the least, a couple blunders. Inner Circle might blunder this FG, or they might just rip it while Good Glurp don't have much response. But Ultimate's all online for everybody except Streak. 10k health on the FG as the burn begins here, and Genetics is positioning high to try and zone away Sun Prod and Zav. The rest of Inner Circle are going to take down the FG. Genetics is getting chased down, but tanky as ever. He's just kind of shaking off the damage while FG's getting burned away. Who can take it? Streak secures with a very close call, but Rivers of Butte thrown down. The fight will unfold from here, and Vaporish Coast has the dagger to work with. Sunprod dives into the back line, doesn't find a stun, and Streak collapses onto BenEQ, and Coast is there, slamming damage onto Sunprod too. Can't find a hammer out, dancing on him yet again. Coast, please save your TikTok dances for the algorithm. You've got to relax here. Inner Circle need to end this game once and for all. Enough playing with your food. It's time to swallow your prey.
They're running down mid here, and they should be set to take this one. Fire Giant on 5 members, and they just have such a big lead here. They'll look to take down the likes of Speak No Evil yet again here. Not enough damage just yet, but they take the mid bird first. And no, they're not going to end the game?
Nah, they're not done. There's more kills to be had. Vapors Coast wants to show all of his dance moves to Sunprod, and we've got plenty more dances. He's been practicing for quite a while, so we've got to do a couple more objectives here and there. We're splitting up the map. We saw this earlier today, Book, and it looks like Inner Circle are going to do the same thing. We send a couple over to Ancient Fury. We send a couple over to Pyro, but this time it might not be the move because Good Glurp are ready to walk forward and try and take a fight. They might not have been too successful so far, but now that items are coming online, I think Good Glurp feel confident.
They have to start looking for something here. If they sit on their hands for so long, eventually Inner Circle will just get this Gold Fury and end the game. But I mean, feel like Inner Circle ready for it. They pull the members off of the Pyromancer pole, send them over to help get the Gold Fury. Will secure that one. Weaken the left and right hand side Phoenixes. So their next push with this Fire Giant, which they have for another 2 minutes, will be a little bit easier here. I wouldn't be surprised if they just send all 5 members to the left-hand side, look to push this bird, and then try and end. I do think there was a window to try and end, but it just, some respawn timers were up in 6 seconds. You just tried to end a moment ago, and it didn't work out for you. Streak died first, and then so the push was called off, and they said, all right, guys, let's just clean this one up cleanly. You know, let's finish this one up a little bit cleaner. Let's, you know, back up, get the gold. We'll reset. We'll push left. We'll take the Phoenix. We'll end the game. So just not throwing this one away again, because if, again, you throw a couple more fights, suddenly the good Glurp are back in it, just making the cleaner execution calls.
So 27 minutes into the game, and with Fire Giant buffs and debuff birds, good Glurp are looking to defend one last time. Maybe so. Inner Circle approaching the left side bird. They've got 3 so far. Genetics pathing through the jungle to complete the 5-man formation. But Deduin in the mid lane, trying to split up the team just a little bit. Things are looking calm for a moment, but you never know when lightning could strike.
I feel like you have to give this Phoenix here. You have to defend under your Titan at this point. Just these weakened birds don't really help you if the fight breaks out around the objective. And so Inner Circle, they'll take their time, head on over to the right-hand side, look to take this weakened bird as well, as they have a Naga minion pushing into the Titan room. So they'll have to send Hydrogen back to defend, as we get to do it on a flank angle here.
30 seconds on the FG buffs, make it 25. Deduin wants to get this fight started before things get too rough. Hits the Riptide for the love of the game. Maybe looking to zone. Fields of Love thrown down to slow down. Speak no evil. The sun lands, but will we find the kill? On Hydrogen we will. Deduin will get that one. And Stygian Torment, can we bring them into the fountain? Deduin goes in, but a Riptide brings it back to safety. Sunprod lands down right onto Deduin. The Golden Apple lands, and a nasty bounce onto Sunprod's head top. Streak will get another kill on SNE, and looks like this game is getting cleaned up from here. Benny Q and Zav are just gonna watch as Inner Circle want more kills. Look at the minion. Where are you going? He just walked into the fountain. It doesn't matter. Inner Circle will surely win it here, right? Benny Q fighting for his life. They finally collapse on top of Benny. The boat has been rocked one last time, and the Titan has been killed. Inner Circle are going to the finals.
Inner Circle playing with their food, looking so good in that game. I mean, shout outs to the 10th pick Yamoja, man. Genetics put on a masterclass with that pick. You know, the attempted fountain pull with the Serbolt at the end there onto the Kabrakan. Then you just used a Riptide to say, no. Soul Laner, come back over here. You come back to the team. Get out of the fountain. And just pulled everyone back to safety every single time. Used such mobility. You know, the Stampede on top of the Riptides was just so much mobility for this team. It felt like the good Glurp just didn't really have an answer to this 2v2 in the duo lane.
And this is where things start off in a pretty big way. Duo lane is looking very nice. Spamming down the one. Genetics is farming up the player damage, and the Fear No Evil from Coast rotating in and playing very well. Another Rivers Rebuke. God, hold on. Look, 1 second. I had to kiss my Genetics poster. It's just such a talented player. Just a player brimming with such talent, looking so good here. As I mean, shout outs to Coast as well on this Humbots pick. Was so comfortable playing, you know, like dives like that. It's just clearly showing that despite being, you know, a world championship in ADC, they could still just be so mechanically good at characters in the jungle in a role that they didn't traditionally play. You know, Tagveer, another one of those players like that as well, where they played ADC for a long time, made the switch to jungle, and was very successful with that role for a very long time. Just, I mean, wow. I'm speechless. I am shocked at how this game. Keep in mind, this is off of Sunprod, who looked so good yesterday, and I guess maybe the ping is a bit of a shell shock. You know what I mean? That probably, you know, messed up their chances just a little bit. I mean, we had the ping conversation earlier. The gods that were played were not super high execution, you know, so you land a couple abilities and that's the job. But I guess it just didn't work out today.
Yeah, you're back to the drawing board here if you're the good Glurp, waiting for another tournament to roll around. I mean, you got finals, I think, next week, if I'm not mistaken, for the circuit of Smite Prime. So, I mean, you know, a lot of these NA players will be back, next week.
Just very nice stuff. And we've got a very, very heated matchup coming up soon in the finals with Inner Circle making their way, but we still have to find out who are they going to be with? You know what I mean? Who is Inner Circle going to have to face for that $2,000 cash prize? I think it's going to be an amazing matchup. Oh, I'm just so excited, man. It's been a good day of Smite. It's hard to contain the hype. You feel me? I think after seeing so many good games today, it makes, these, how we talked about these slower games, these hype plays just feel so much better because we don't get them that much. So when we finally get these proportions, epic proportions of team fights, it just hits that much harder. The FG fights and all these crazy ultimates and everything else, it's been exciting to say the least, and I can't wait to see what we've got going forward. But before we get there, we got to take a quick ad break. We'll let you know very soon what's coming up next. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Smite Prime Summer Bash. We're here with an EU Conquest tournament, and we're approaching the finals. Game 1 is on the horizon, and we're here to talk about it. Morty and Spirited Book in the booth, and let's talk about what we're here for. What are we all collected together on this fine Sunday morning for? It's $2,000 of a cash prize. This one-day tournament will result in $2,000 going the way of 5 members of one team in the finals. And it could be Smoke Break. It could be Inner Circle. We don't know. We'll find out soon. But let's talk about the bracket. How did we get to this point? What teams were fighting here and what teams made it for what reason? And it's Inner Circle winning a bunch of games, and same thing with Smoke Break. Unfortunately, we didn't get an other semifinals game. Our plan was to watch over 800 GPM and Smoke Break, but 800 GPM had to FF for reasons, and now we're into the finals. Smoke Break versus Inner Circle and Spirited Book. We've got a match on our hands, that's for sure.
Yep, a best of 3 as well for our finals. Vault bans included. So once a god is played, won't be available for the rest of the series. Going into games 2 and 3. So that will be really important for these two teams. Game 1 especially. What is the priority? Yemoja probably has to be looked at. I can't imagine that SAP 7 gets Yanis after how today has gone, where SAP 7 has been very successful on that pick. I can't imagine that Adapting and SAP 7 are allowed to play that 2v2 at all that revolves around the Yanis or the Susano even. I think they just look too successful on those characters in particular. Maybe putting them on characters that have a lot less mobility will be really important.
Picks and bans, ready to go. Let's make our way in. Let's find out what gods will we look at, what gods won't we look at. And this changes up a couple things now that we're in the finals, because you mentioned it, that the vault bans are here. They're present. Unfortunately, Genetics can't just lock in Yemoja for every single game, so that you've got to figure out how we're going to work around that. The Sobek ban comes through because Genetics is not playing that, and we don't want to see that from Happen either. So ban it away.
Yep, Happen has been playing it a fair bit today as well. I mentioned earlier when I was watching Adapting stream between the broadcast, he was playing Sobek again. And so very clearly that is a big part of this. Smoke Breaks supports composition and identity of how he fits into this team, of just being easy setup for the plucks, initiating fights. It also allows Banco to play that E set that we've been seeing a fair bit today as well in the soul lane, going towards that aspect and just being kind of a CC bot. And I love this ban already from Smoke Break. Don't allow Genetics to play that Yemoja again. Just take that one away, take it off the table. Don't let him touch it.
No, do not. And what's funny too, the Horus ban coming through, because Horus was actually picked 7 times today, and the record is 2-5. Not great. What's interesting though is that Genetics, we know, played at least 1, if not 2 of those winning games. So I respect the ban now. You know what I mean? Knowing that, if somebody's going to be piloting, it's going to be the winner of one of those 7 games. So let's take the Horus away. We'll take the Yemoja away. You already talked about that. And Artio going to be joining the bans list as well. And Artio is such a prevalent solo laner. And, just so much encounters a lot of gods that you might see. The Aladdin has gone through so far, and Artio is a god that shuts the Aladdin down. So maybe Inner Circle's jungler Coast wants to use the Aladdin. You never know.
Yeah, there's a lot open right now with that final ban in the Pele. Kabrakan, I was just going to mention Diduin, we saw play that previously. Jingwei's open. Susano's, Janus, Eset, all those characters are open. Aphrodite is also available here for Happen if they want to go towards that. I feel like that probably has to be an angle here for the composition of Smokebreak. My concern here, though, is if you go towards this Aphrodite in the support role, there's no world that Benko can play Eset in the solo lane. You need frontline presence somewhere here, and it has to come from the support if Benko is the one playing this sort of supportive play style. Afro locked in here. Question is it going to go to the hands of Happen, or is Benko going to take it in the solo lane, I wonder?
We've seen it before. We've seen Benko take some of these, more traditional maybe mid laners or supports like the Eset earlier today. That was a bit of a shocker. Eset solo has happened, but Hun Bats and Agni going the way of mid lane. I don't think it's likely that we see Agni aspect to carry. You know what I mean? I think this has got to be a mid lane pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is probably going to go into the mid lane, into the hands of Theeks. We are flying through picks and bans here, and already we're seeing a lot I want to talk about. But Agni, very good, has been a top mid for a long time. I feel like we've been seeing him banned a fair bit today. A very successful pick, has received a small nerf as of late, if I'm not mistaken, in the most recent patch. But I still feel like is really strong, has used that proc build really effectively. I'm really excited to see Theeks pilot this one. And Theeks has been a very long time standing mid laner here. Excited to see how it matches well. It applies anti-heal really well to these two characters in the Aphrodite and Eset. So this Agni pick is very scary here for the side of Smokebreak, it feels like.
Sylvanas is an interesting pickup here. And you've got, again, big circles. I mean, the Hun Bats, Kabrakan we saw earlier today, and it lined up with the big circles comp. Agni, I think, fits kind of the same role. He's also got big circles, but rather than one really big circle, it's like a couple small circles that you choose where you please. Sap 7 got Janus. Oh, no.
Yeah. I was really hoping that when I saw Eset, it was Afro mid, because I look at this composition from Smokebreak and I'm like, how are they ever starting a team fight without committing so much here? It really is just Eset Spirit Ball from a distance to stun someone. Maybe Afro Kiss as well, but even that can be kind of a little tricky to land properly here. You're putting yourself in a bad spot when you do walk forward as well. This is a tough one here, I think, for Smokebreak. I do worry about their lack of frontline a fair bit. And look, if they snowball early, they get the ball rolling, there's nothing that's going to stop this mid 2v2 in Susano Yanis. But you look across the way, there's so much lockdown CC, big AoE lockdown CC, the Agni stun, the Fear No Evil, Kabrakan lockdown, single target, sure, but you got tons of CC to follow up off of that. This is a toughie here, I think, for Smokebreak. You're going to need some beads, maybe an Aegis here or there. Aphrodite, I think, is going to have to invest in a team beads at some point, potentially, on top of that ultimate, because there's so much layered CC that Inner Circle have.
So, I think you've got a lot of very valid weaknesses to point out, because that can definitely hurt things. I think the engage being the biggest one that you pointed out that sticks out to me, because Typhoon can only do so much. You know what I mean? It's a good knockup, and it hits a good amount of people. It does a lot of damage, but it's not necessarily our most solid engage tool. What I'm kind of thinking team fight wise, what would happen is Smokebreak goes for, like you said, the kiss or the spirit bomb. Finds a stun, and then all of a sudden Inner Circle is like, oh, we're starting a fight. Here's a Fear No Evil. And then here's an ult for Kabrakan. Here's a knockup from Sylvanas. And all of a sudden, Smokebreak can't breathe. But who will be breathing at the end of the game, and who will be left lifeless in their own Titan room? We'll find out as we go into the game. It's live. It's ready for us, and we're going on in. It's game one of the finals of the EU Conquest tournament. Inner Circle up against Smokebreak. Morty and Spirited Book in the booth right now. Musi, Testai, and Jithan's behind the scenes making all these pretty colors you see on screen happen. And we have got a game ahead of us. Book, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting one here for both these two teams. Look towards these mid 2v2s of bots, Agni with so much CC damage as well. He's going to go towards the proc build with that Bluestone starter item versus the 2v2 that wants to kind of scale a little bit. But once they do, they can kind of just one-shot you off their combos. The portal into Unstable Vortex. You know, we saw earlier where adapting would dash forward, find a pull, and Sap 7 ready for it would follow up with the ultimate, the through space and time. So it really is an interesting dynamic between these two mid 2v2s. And I think that is where we will see a lot of the action of where they decide to rotate, where they decide to play. Is it in the mid 2v2 itself, or are they going to see some action in the side lanes? I mean, so much mobility, again, between this Yanis and Sasano that you don't really want to fight in this mid 2v2. You want to use that mobility to rotate to side lanes early and often.
A lot of beats on the side of Smokebreak. A lot of beats. I think that's going to let Sap 7 really go towards this Necro build that we saw worked so well earlier on. This much safety, along with the mobility that Giannis already has, and then a beads to follow up with that is going to be very, very fruitful, I think, for Sap. I mean, it's going to let him escape what Genetics wants to do: grab and root and knock up and then root and then grab again. You know, you keep grabbing seeds, you keep resetting your cooldowns. That's what Sylvanas is able to do, especially late game after that level 15 power spike. It's going to really be nice to have some CC immunity around.
Yeah, I agree. I think the CC immunity for both teams, honestly, will be really important, and the damage follow-up will have to be pretty impactful here. I mean, no one's gone towards an Aegis, at least as their starter relic. Could upgrade that beads or could buy an active Aegis, and that is honestly a pretty solid item right now. I'm kind of surprised we don't see more of the active Aegis. We do see a bit of aggression on the left-hand side. I believe that speed buff does go the way of Smokebreak, though, so good job stealing that one away. And yeah, Echrome will pick it up. And I do want to touch on this dual lane a little bit. It's very difficult for this Jingwei Aphrodite to play this lane and really push out this Sylvanas Huyi for now. Once some items come through for Echrome and he can start getting that Devourer's Gauntlet, I imagine he'll build up to a pretty good spot. He'll start to be impactful. But right now, Afro and Jingwei just need to survive this early game.
Speaking of the duo lane, one thing that sticks out to me is Streak decided not to go Aspect for Hu Yi. And for a while, a lot of people just did not favor Hu Yi Aspect whatsoever. Now we're starting to see a lot more favor from a lot of the Prime players like Hydrogen, Kaveka are all going for the Aspect for Hu Yi, but Streak is deciding not to. I guess we're going to favor the crowd control that non-Aspect Hu Yi can offer in exchange for a bit of extra damage through the ricochets.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned kind of in picks and bans how they have layered CC. The Huyi mark into Ricochet to stun is part of that layered CC, right? So rather than going for a little bit more bonus damage off the autos and trying to angle some crazy crits in the early game or even in the mid-late game once they get that crit online, it's more so about just being another tool in the machine, right? Another cog in the machine, excuse me, is they could just layer that CC on top of, say, a Sylvanas root or pull or Beaks' long-range Agni stun, right? So just being another part of that sort of process, I like the identity. And especially because I feel like I haven't seen the most success out of Huyi Aspect. Yeah, you can see small moments as we do see a bit of a scrap here between these two duo laners, but that might be all it is. As in right-hand side, Benko.
Circle of Protection's thrown down, and Banco is going to get rooted in place for quite a while. The Sap 7 ultimate connects it, hits both Coast into doing, and all of a sudden this solo fight is turned on its head. Adapting rotates over right side, hits the Typhoon, and puts Coast down in the solo lane. First blood goes to Smokebreak.
Are you kidding me? Sap 7 already getting his team off. And I mentioned this 2v2 wants to rotate out early. We didn't see that a lot earlier in the day when we saw Smokebreak play. Sap 7 just kind of sat back, let the game come to him. His jungler was getting active, his duo lane was getting active, and he just got to sit back in mid, farm it out. But here on the right-hand side, Benko's in trouble, and Sap 7 and Adapting are on the way to bail out their solo laner. Great ultimate there onto Duin, puts him solo, even through the shell, this unstable vortex already swinging.
Oh my gosh, the damage there. The damage. Hey, a lot of that's favored to Conduit Gem too, right? It's an explosive starter that you know, you're less focused on sustain and lane. You're more focused on just blowing people up and adapting, looking to blow up Theeks. But a good successful dash from Theeks will get them back to the tower in the mid lane. Won't result in a kill.
Yeah, Conduit Gem, like you mentioned, very strong. And this mid 2v2, again, to me, it favors Inner Circle a little bit. But now that beads are down on Vaporish Coast, he is susceptible to a potential playmaking angle from Smokebreak. Adapting immediately just heads right. Echrome in trouble on left.
Has to go up into the air for a moment. The meteor shower thrown down. Echrome loses their ultimate and their relic, but does not lose their life thanks to the healing from Happen there. Meanwhile, on the right side, yet again, Typhoon once more available. Adapting is investing it into Banco, saying, let me get you fed, big dog. I'll show up one more time. Let's take down Dodoon. Let's get you some kills. I'll take down the Firebrands, but that's going to let Inner Circle take 4 members over to the Gold Fury. Smokebreak's duo lane is stuck under tower, and they don't have any rotation potential. That's a free Gold Fury for Inner Circle. I'd say that's worth.
Little moment there from Inner Circle. They pull the gold a little bit to the left right before they're finishing it off, and that's just to avoid Sap7 maybe throwing out a Hail Mary Yenisol to try and steal that one away. Small moments like that could be impactful down the line. But yeah, already just off to a good start here for both teams. I feel like at the end of the day, it's kind of a dead even play. At the very least, Benko has a small experience lead in the soul lane, and I think that's your biggest victory at the end of the day through all that we've seen so far. Just almost 6.5 minutes in. It feels just very slow, again, methodical, but there has been a lot of action already in the duo lane. You can see Echrome has the Devourer's Gauntlet online here, starting to stack that one up, versus Streak has gone for the bow again. So again, I touched on previously, at some point, Echrome will just outscale Streak in terms of raw strength and damage behind their build versus this Lanerian Avenging Blade build Streak is eventually going to go towards.
Yeah, it's really all about this CC chain that Smokebreak can maybe offer, but also Inner Circle especially. You know, I think that's where CC Immunity really plays into things, and what we're going to see, maybe a tally picked up by Genetics. Happen could upgrade that Shell of Rebuke, pick up a beads of their own. I mean, the more CC Immunity you have, the better, but that CC Immunity could also result from Cersei's Hexstone, which Happen picks up for a quick escape. You'll never know when you need to escape like that. I mean, yeah, you can use the Afro to come back to your ally, but also Cersei's brings even more mobility. I think it's a really good pickup too.
I actually think this might be a tool that Happen uses to engage fights with. I mean, the knockup on Cersei's is very, underrated, I feel like a lot of time. Often Cersei's is just used, like you mentioned, as a safety tool. But we mentioned, how do Smokebreak really start a fight? Maybe use Cersei's Hexstone aggressively to just kind of get in someone's face, knock them up, and that's your go button for then adapting to go in secondary, as he often did in the game we saw earlier today. I would not mind that idea, and then using the Afro-ult as an escape tool afterwards to yoink back towards an ally. I think that might be an avenue that Happen looks towards this game.
Firebrands go the way of Smokebreak once more. It seems like there's control for Smokebreak on the right side of the map. You know, a couple kills onto Dodoon and Coast on the right side, and they get a couple Firebrands too. So Adapting's getting some gold and XP and a bit of Firebrand adaptive stats somewhere, but Inner Circle favoring the left side. That first gold, once those pips start adding up, it can really benefit these late game sieges. I'm wondering where the smarter investment of time is, you think? Maybe right side, because Dodoon's probably going to fall here. Typhoon is getting Dodoon knocked up once more. Wing Gust and damage combos from Adapting will let them get another kill. Dodoon falls yet again.
Yeah, lovely play there. I mean, you mentioned it, right side for Adapting, just continuing to punish this immobile character in the Kabrakan, and this was picked pretty early on, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, first overall for Inner Circle, and so far it's kind of getting punished here. Benko's been able to free farm, has that first item completed in the Runeforge. Probably going to go towards that Prophetic second overall here on the E set, as you feel like Smokebreak there. The window is closing for Inner Circle to be aggressive on this left-hand side. The safety tools are there for the Jingwei. She's got ultimate. She's stacking the Devos. The Aphrodite has Cersei's Shell ultimate available to them. Smokebreak on the left-hand side can continue to just keep farming it out, playing it slow here. Let the Jingwei get to a point where she can start to bring the damage here.
The Necro is finally picked up by Sap7. Even though he hasn't been seeing any kills recently, no kill participation, he's going to be seeing some eventually. You know what I mean? So let's get that item built up now. Even if it doesn't grant all the intelligence in the world, a bit of extra mana makes sure that Sap 7 has the resources to just throw out a stray vortex if needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. We touched on it earlier. It's very good if he can continue to play safe. Once it's stacked, right now, I feel like Sap 7 can continue to play fast and loose, but at some point we'll have to just be really safe and conservative about how they use their portals. Can't use them aggressively, or Vaporish Coast will use that as a window to gank or play aggressive on a Sap 7, try and go for an all-in. And so Sap 7 has to be careful once they get some of those stacks online, not lose them, because again, you mentioned it, it's a ton of power behind the item, but only once you have it stacked up. It's just 50 on its own. That's less than Chronos Pendant.
Another round of brands going the way of Smoke Break. I'd love to get a rock check on adapting Muse. You think that can happen? I wonder how many. I mean, I think it's like, what, 3 or 4 rounds that he's been getting.
I think it's at least 3, yeah.
We'll call it 6.
He's got 2.
And
oh, there it is.
18 strength. Not, I mean, that's what, like another like tier 1 or tier 2 item. I don't think it's bad. And if he gets one more round, I mean, we're approaching tier 3 item territory maybe.
That's 3 axes because they nerfed axe from 10 to 5, so that's at least 3 axes. tier 1 items. So
yeah,
three and then some. So pretty good, and any little bit counts. I mean, you get to keep those stats permanently throughout the game off of an objective that gives you just golden experience. So it's just another part of adapting sort of farming window to be relevant in this game and continue to scale. Mid lane though.
Oh my god, and that strength must be paying off. Adapting just melted down Theeks. Kind of funny seeing that somebody could melt fire. Theeks is dead.
Yeah, love that. And already a stack online for the Necronomicon for Sap 7. Yep. Starting to get this item online. Again, has to start playing safe though. Coast no ultimate though, and that means there is a window for Smokebreak to continue to be aggressive, look for plays. They didn't have to use Adapting's ultimate or Sap 7's ultimate during that play.
Gold Fury is available. Smokebreak decided not to go for it after finding that pick because pretty short death timer for Theeks, but with everybody from Smokebreak going back to base after, that's going to be a burn, and the meteor shower going down from Streak. And looks like this could go the way of Inner Circle. Oh. Sap 7 throws the ult a tad bit too early. Streak secures their second Gold Fury, and Inner Circle hightail it out of there. CC immune off of it. Typhoon is going to let Genetics sacrifice himself, but he's still alive. Dodges away from the Lovebirds, and Adapting goes into the back line, and Steeks turns things around and takes down E-Chrome. So eye for an eye. You lose your support, but you kill their carry, and you get a Gold Fury. I'd say that's very worth for Inner Circle.
Very worth indeed. Another round of rocks going to go the way of Smokebreak, though. Benko already on top of it, but Smokebreak looking to answer back with a Pyromancer pull. This would kind of even things out a little bit, but you can see Coast and Theeks on the way, and so is Deduin. Deduin, though, the only one with ultimate.
I don't think he does anything. I mean, Deduin doesn't do anything over the wall. You know what I mean? You kind of have to like be there or you're not there if you're Cabrakan. So unfortunately, just a lack of mobility, and Deduin just can't do much. Granted, it's a pyro. It's a bit of extra gold. It definitely favors Constellation prize territory, because look at where they're at gold wise now. It's even. It is dead even. Considering the scoreboard's 1 to 5, that's just a bait. Don't believe what the scoreboard says. Gold wise, that's what really matters, and it's neck and neck.
Permanent stats though, I mean, we mentioned Adapting, getting those firebrands, the rocks earlier. 2 pips for the Gold Fury for Inner Circle. So small little bonus things where you can leave the base a little bit quicker. Just little victories like that for Inner Circle. Nearby friendly minions take reduced damage and deal more damage. And with the recent change to minions as well on this most recent patch, that post 25 minutes, minions start to stack up, just dealing a little bit more damage and taking less damage from the towers as well.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be favoring Inner Circle's late game sieging potential. That second Gold Fury pip this early on means that when they go for an Ancient later on, which surely is going to happen, they're going to get a third Gold Fury pip. They're going to get debuffed birds or towers to look at. I mean, things are on the up and up objective wise, but I'll be honest with you, Book. It feels like Smokebreak are winning a decent amount of fights, and Inner Circle aren't going to have a chance to siege if they can't win a team fight. So I'm wondering, how do they optimally start one in the first place?
Yeah, I've been kind of running that over in my head is how do they start a team fight? You look across the way, Smokebreak don't really have tools to start a team fight effectively, and maybe that's why Cersei for Happen was picked up, but honestly, neither do Inner Circle. Deduin!
Oh no, please, to do it, you've got to get out of there. The Sap 7 ultimate off the mark, but it wasn't even needed. Circle of Protections drops to do it over in solo lane. That's going to let Smokebreak rotate over and burn this Queen Naga down. They've got all 5 members on top of it. Sap 7 decides to rotate out of there. I'm not needed. What am I doing here? I've got a wave to go catch. I need my XP. That's fine. Queen Naga still gets dropped. Smokebreak grab that extra 5% strength and intelligence for all the hybrid stackers in the game. It's going to be a very nice boost.
Yeah, lovely play there, and shout outs to adapting as soon as an objective is spawning on the right hand side, and honestly all of Smokebreak, not just adapting. Echrome was already on the way with this Jingwei, and that is, I think, one of the benefits of why Jingwei, I would argue, is the best ADC in the game right now. As soon as that Queen Naga is spawning, you can just back to base, use that Jingwei passive to get on over to the right-hand side and be there on time for that spawn of the Queen Naga. You saw Streak on the left-hand side, had to push out the lane, get the tier 1 tower at the very least, so answered back in some goal, but Echrome being a big part of this snowballing in the early game for Smokebreak by just getting these neutral objectives.
And it seems like Deduin might be in trouble again. Adapting is somewhat nearby, but not exactly in the area, so I don't think it results in a kill just yet. We'll figure that out as, you know, time goes on. At least the tier 1 tower falls for Smokebreak, so they don't get a kill on Deduin, but, you know, at least they put a little bit of pressure on the Deduin. No more safe farming. You'll be lucky to grab your blue buff if Adapting will let you. Meanwhile, here in the mid lane, the Ritual site is being looked at by Theeks and Genetics, but across the way, Sap 7 and Happen. Deduin is not, is able to get the blue buff, and Coast wants to start a fight saying, hey, you killed Deduin one too many times. I'm here for a bit of revenge. Seems like there's a pretty big stretch of priority across the map.
Oh, Theeks gets Portal, half his health taken away there by that combo. All from Genetics, though.
Oh my god, did you see the damage? Sap 7 throws the ult out, but it doesn't quite connect. That's fine. Reinforcements arrive for Inner Circle and Smokebreak. Nature's Grasp yanks Happen to a really bad spot. He's forced to Cersei's away, which means no kill found for Inner Circle, but we do get the Ritual side, a bit of extra gold and the Moonlight Ritual. So big things going the way of Inner Circle once more. Objective-wise, looks like they're trying to get some vision to get ready for the next Gold Fury. It is up and available.
Yeah, this would be big here for Inner Circle if they can get this third Gold Fury going their way. Echrome, though, doesn't realize.
Ghost, you've got to be careful. You could go in and run into Adapting at any moment. I mean, granted, that was almost really bad news for Recro, but he was able to ult away, so that's all good and dandy. But that's going to let Inner Circle go straight for their third Gold Fury. Pyromancer yet again for Smokebreak, their Constellation prize. Adapting's there. Does have Typhoon ready to go, but will he use it to steal over the wall, or will he hold on to it? He's saving it for Christmas. Looks like Gold Fury's going to go the way of Inner Circle while Pyro gets dropped by Smokebreak.
Oh, Theeks, careful of your pathing. Adapting fishing here, but good stun. Realizes Adapting could be fishing for a play there. And yeah, all of a sudden, the third pip, deal 25% bonus true damage to structures and gain 50 prots when near an enemy structure. So sieging becomes that much easier. And there's a lot of standing gold on the map for Inner Circle to take. A tier 2 in left, a tier 1, tier 2 in mid, a tier 1 and tier 2 in right. Look to Inner Circle to start grouping and deathballing here as 5 and try and make plays to push down these lanes and start building a gold lead that way. Smokebreak have the lead, but maybe not for long.
Maybe not, because Coast is here on the right side. And look at this. Oh no, Sap 7 is hitting another big ult, and it just shreds apart the health bar for Coast. Running back, it's bad news for Genetics. Throws the scepter down, but still gets Vortex. Does that buy him enough time? Hits the Wrath of Terra, but it's not going to save his life. Down goes Genetics, and Smokebreak back in the lead when it comes to, well, they've had a kill lead this entire time, but what will they do with it?
They're looking to force down the tier 1 and mid. They're grouping here, 5 strong. No, Benko on the right, or sorry, Sap on the right-hand side. And now Smokebreak, they got to be careful. Deduin fishing for an engage here, but it's stunted there. Shoutouts to Benko with these stuns, has been on point, really stopping Inner Circle from just walking forward at them.
Yeah, that's going to let the tier 1 tower fall the way of Smoke Break. That's just, it is what it is. I don't think Inner Circle are real upset about losing that. It is a W for Smoke Break, so, you call it how you see it, right? The losing team doesn't take any unfortunate losses. Smoke Break gets a kill, or a kill on tower, and yeah.
So far, so good here for Smoke Break. They're finding windows. A lot of it's on the right-hand side, but again, no crazy gold lead at the end of the day. It's 700 favoring them. So Inner Circle, despite being down 6 kills, are still in it. They still are finding windows. They're finding wins, but I don't know. It feels like Smoke Break, like you mentioned earlier, are just winning all the fights. They're winning all the fights, but the objectives are what's going the way of Inner Circle. Yeah, Inner Circle either have to start winning fights, or Smoke Break, they need to start finding objectives afterwards. It feels like they're the ones that are getting the smaller ones, right? The Pyromancers, the Queen Naga, and yeah, you could definitely call Queen Naga a pretty significant objective, but it's been every Gold Fury that goes the way of Inner Circle so far. Now they're grouping for a play.
Two-man Wrath of Terror is going to find a nasty knockup. Fear no evil in response, but the beats from happen will save them for just a moment. Sunbreaker blocks them off for a tad as well. Inner Circle really tried for an engage, but really nice counterplay from Happen will let him and the team succeed in living for a little bit more time. Meanwhile, Smoke Break have reinforcements looking to pounce on Inner Circle, but do they want to turn? Are they really retreating? Inner Circle might have a chance to fight this if they play their cards correctly. Pyromancer is going to get dropped instead. I think this is a bait play, though. Smoke Break really want to fight this, but Inner Circle just can't give up Pyro.
It's a tough one here. A lot of ultimates down. Theek's the only one on the side of Inner Circle with ultimate, but Banco and Adapting have theirs. Echrome and Happen now have their ults as well.
But oh my god, the damage from Theeks is awesome. Deduin's able to collapse and grab the kill. A great dash from Theeks will make sure that they go back just fine. A great root from Genetics. He doesn't have an ult ready. Nobody really does from Inner Circle, so Echrome can walk towards Deduin, but a Nature's Grasp pulls Banco way out of position, right out of left field. Smoke Break lost 2 members. Adapting and Happen extremely low. The Scepter doesn't connect, but that's not going to stop Inner Circle from hitting the W key. Fear no evil off the mark as well, and the Ricochet close to. A couple miss abilities will make sure that Smoke Break can get out alive, but that means Inner Circle feel more than fine walking back to that Pyro they were once trying to protect, and now they're going to take it for themselves.
Snap 7 just not really alone in the mid lane, but just kind of on his own in that moment and just in the middle of the lane. You can't position like that as a Yanis. Have to stand by a wall if you want to play safe. And yeah, as our spectator points out, those necro stacks that Sap 7 had been building up are now at 0. So he's lost all of them back to just a 50 int item stat. And so all of a sudden, Smoke Break have to be careful, have to start building that lead back up for Sap 7. And again, you can get it off of assists, and that is an important factor because Yanis, sometimes you have a really hard time of finding the exact kill. It's not like Devourer's Gauntlet where you need the last hit. And so an assist will be important here for Sap 7. Maybe it's just back to the slow play here for Smoke Break. You can see Echrome hovering the left-hand side, pushing out waves now, finding farm. But important to note, Sap 7, it's level 20. We'll upgrade that Conduit gem very soon, I would imagine.
So, back to square one, right? Gold Fury, FG, a lot of objectives to look at. 23.5 minutes into the game, and 3 to 8. It has been all over the place with gold. Barely favoring Inner Circle, but like we talked about, neck and neck. I'm at a loss of words here, Book. It looks like Smoke Break are going up the left side of the map. They want to try and grab this gold. They at least got vision on it. Inner Circle have their eyes on a bigger prize, FG.
Yeah, this is smart here. They're trying to find whatever farm they can because I feel like as the game goes on, like I mentioned, this Jingwei is only going to get stronger. 95 stacks on the Devo's gloves right now, and gonna keep building that one up. Probably now that they have these 4 items, the Devos, the Frenzy, the Titans, and the Kins, we'll start to see some crit come through here for the Jingwei. And so Echrome needs to just spend more time farming, finding whatever farm he can, whether it's in the jungle, in the lanes, just plop the Jingwei in mid lane while you're doing this little fire giant dance and let her keep perma scaling. She's level 20 now, can get that starter upgrade online here, the Diamond Arrow, I believe, or Golden Arrow, whatever one it's called now at this point. And be at a point where she just starts swinging with these crits and the basic attack power.
Yeah, I think that Echrome's only going to get stronger. Been a little bit quiet on Echrome's side, but like you said, this is an infinitely stacking item. So let's let Echrome do what they want to do. Just keep hitting minions, keep stacking up the Devos, and we'll see some real damage, especially when it matters, because it's going to matter very soon. We're approaching the third quarter, and things are looking rougher and rougher when it comes to team fights, really. Inner Circle are starting to find a little bit of rhythm, having a hard time really collapsing and grabbing a kill, but their damage is looking a little bit better, especially with some of the itemization online. A Blink Wrath of Terror sets up for
Genetics, I don't know.
Genetics did hit the Scepter, but doesn't want to get hit by SAP 7, so we'll turn things around. No need to risk a Nature's Grasp, especially when Inner Circle don't have all 5 nearby Genetics. You know, they've got a couple on the right side. Theeks and Streak are clearing up the minions, so they don't have to worry about losing the tier 2.
Because Echrome has gone for this build, not the traditional Jingwei build we see where it's Devos and then immediate crit. Echrome has Pen, and so Genetics he's not really that tanky, and so Genetics can't just afford to blink forward and ult immediately. If there's an Afro ultimate, they're ready for it. Echrome can't afford to just stand and throw a couple auto attacks back in return. We saw Genetics just getting absolutely pummeled there in that fight. Just very briefly, is able to get away with his life intact, and it's unfortunate in that moment to do and getting CC'd here over the fight for the Moonlight Ritual. Echrome went left though, and so I don't know if they can fully go for this smoke break.
Oh, Genetics is around yet again, and a lot of damage dealt to Genetics. A Fear No Evil hits too from Coast. It's Sap 7's got an ult, but it doesn't do too much damage. Inner Circle are retreating back just a tad. They got the Ritual Sight. That's what they wanted. Stampede not up, but Shell of Rebuke, in case they get engaged on, adapting off the mark from the pool. Beads taken away from Streak 2. So Inner Circle lost a bit of resource, but they got the objective.
Streak wasn't really in threat there, but still popped the beads anyways, just expecting adapting to be in range. And are we going to see a trade of objectives? Sap 7 doesn't have ultimate here, and so immediately Smokebreak realized they can't afford to give up this Fire Giant, but down to 10,000. No, Inner Circle, they'll call it off. This is smart here. I don't feel like either team feels the most comfortable confirming just yet, but Genetics alone forward.
Scepter roots himself and another in place, and a 3-man Wrath of Terra to start off the fight. Genetics gets dropped right after. Deduin's still going to continue to fight, but a nasty Typhoon does a whole lot of damage. Smokebreaker W-King towards Inner Circle.
Echrome.
This could be really bad news. Echrome takes down Deduin, but Echrome might have dove a little bit too far. Oh, the Sap 7 ult really hurts Theeks, and Vaporish Coast on the run as well. So Smokebreak take the overall dub. But with half health bars and no carry, I don't know if they can burn FG. They're going to have to go back.
Yeah, Echrome just going a little too far forward there. Look, you're feeling yourself in that moment. Echrome free casted almost that entire team fight and then goes a little too deep. I like the ult initially, but just needed to wait in the air a little longer there for the rest of the team to back him up, or just use the remainder of the ultimate to go backwards and play safe. I feel like Echrome giving their life there loses Smokebreak the opportunity to pull this Fire Giant, which is available to them. Instead, they'll back to base, send some members left to clear out this Queen Naga minion. And so all the while, Smokebreak just have to go back to the drawing board, take their time. But you see moments like that, they're finding opportunities, they're finding windows to deny Inner Circle. They're engaged. Genetics a couple times now has blinked forward, popped the ultimate, and not gotten a whole lot of value off of it.
No. So we're 30 minutes almost into this game, 29. And the goal lead still very, very close. Hard to even talk about when it's a couple hundred per player. I mean, this is just getting a little bit more rough to where Smokebreak are starting to win more fights. Inner Circle are having a hard time getting their engage in because of how much counterplay is available for Smokebreak. It's all of the crowd control immunity, the heals from Happen, and the escape potential from Sap 7. Inner Circle just cannot seem to make their way into some of these fights as down goes the Pyro. Smokebreak pick it up, and looks like there's some posturing around FG.
Quick stack check here. We got 107 stacks here for Echrome on the Devourer's Gauntlet. Ton of strength there. 3 Necronomicon stacks for Sap 7 here. So slowly building those stacks back up here for Smokebreak. But again, they don't have to rip the objective right now. They can let Echrome keep stacking up this Devo gloves. He's here there on the right-hand side looking to clear that wave, but gotta be careful. Inner Circle grouping here on the right-hand side, looking for a play.
Okay, Stampede in, and a root off the mark. Genetics didn't quite hit it. Nature's Grasp, a bit of a miss too. That's fine. Turn it around and call it a loss. It is what it is.
Had Scepter, though. Maybe could have committed here, but now the rest of the team has arrived.
Oh no, it's Tectonic Shivel root in one, and in goes the rest of Inner Circle. Coast is in the back line while Theeks is fighting off Benko. Deduin takes down a one, and down goes Coast though, Adapting is able to find revenge, so jungler for mid laner. Down goes the Necro Stacks. That's really bad news for Smokebreak. The fight's continuing as Deduin is up at the front and can't seem to find a way out, but able to hit the one and dash back to the homies. Seems like things will be okay for Inner Circle. They're still marching up right side. They really want this tier 1 tower.
Yeah, like we mentioned previously, 3 Gold Fury pips to their name. The team can start grouping here and look to take this standing gold off the map. Start building themselves a way back into the game. Good pull there!
Oh my goodness, the Nature's Grasp will take Benko way out of position. And Streak dive bombs in for a double kill. Down go Happen and E-Chrome. Adapting's the only one left alive, but he's stunned right after. That's a deicide in the blink of an eye. Inner Circle marching up the right side lane.
Just not respecting the pull potential there from the Sylvanas. And as we see, Sap7 wanted to fast to the right-hand side, but immediately calls it off. And sits here under the Phoenix, just has to clear the wave, but 4 men strong. Stampede popped, looking for the pull, but Genetics can't find it.
Oh, that's a shame. Hit the Stampede and really tried for it, but no kill on Sap7. Wait, we're not going to panic end, are we? Wait, Death Timers and Sap7's alone? Are Inner Circle going to try this? Sap7 gets dropped to half health by Theeks, but is still lurking on the side. Can they ignore him? Sunbreaker thrown down for a little bit of damage, but they realize the burn is not as easy as they want it to be. There's still 2 tier 2s up in the mid and the left side, so that Titan is pretty gosh darn tanky. Smokebreak end up respawning, and Inner Circle make a run for the hills. They lose Genetics in the process. Hopefully they can defend an FG burn.
30 seconds there. Yeah, on Genetics' death timer. Has to wait for their support to respawn, but with Smokebreak's base broken open, gotta be careful here when you go for this Fire Giant Siege, but instead, they're just gonna go for it. They have ESET ult, they have Jingwei damage here, they have some crit online, they're gonna try and burn.
This is looking a little sketch. 10k, and no ults available for Inner Circle. Down to 5, 4, Coast has Fear No Evil, and Adapting is able to secure it with a Typhoon. Very nice play from Smokebreak. Way to utilize the situation and grab a big OBJ in the process.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, there's 2 tier 2 towers still available there for Smokebreak. I don't think there was really a world Inner Circle could have felt comfortable going for that end. They try, they don't really get anywhere close there at the end of the day, and so now you lose the Fire Giant, the first real major lead of the game, I feel like, going towards Smokebreak potentially. Look, the gold lead still favoring Inner Circle just a little bit, but there's a Gold Fury available, a Pyromancer available, tier 1, tier 2 on the left-hand side, tier 2 in mid, tier 2 in right. Smokebreak, you could see that gold graph was going the way of Inner Circle from that deicide and then immediately clawing right back down towards that red side. But Smokebreak, they're not grouping for the Gold Fury, and Inner Circle are here first. I feel like this is a missed opportunity to go for this standing gold here.
Wait, 5k? 4k? They're dropping it pretty fast, but Smokebreak are aware. Stampede out, run away. Inner Circle, get your get back and go. Run, but pulled by Adapting, and it looks like Deduin's in a really buff spot. The Sap7 ultimate hurts a lot, and Smokebreak pull up in a really big way. Cersei's in, and a nice ricochet from Streak will buy a little bit of space, but the Spirit Ball off the mark. Smokebreak are continuing to dash right in, but Sap7 gets taken down. A bit too aggressive, and Fear No Evil in response. Streak dies to Benko, and Sap7 dies, but so does Streak. One dead on each side. Inner Circle, goodness gracious.
I feel like that's okay there. You really need Streak if you want to try and whittle down the health bars of the side of Smokebreak, but even so, Smokebreak, they don't feel comfortable going for the siege, being down their mid laner, and so they back off. They don't, they do get the tier 2 at the very least on the left-hand side, but they don't go for any more. Maybe look towards the Pyromancer that's available to them. They actually, no, that's what it is. Right-hand side, minions were pushing. They had to back to base, lest they lose the game there on the right-hand side. And so Adapting will clear out these fire waves. make sure their Phoenix can respond, and then look for this Moonlight Ritual in mid and the Pyromancer.
So, Ritual Site being fought over, and it's been a game here, Book. We're in the fourth quarter, 35 minutes in. Inner Circle are starting to get back onto the scoreboard, 10-14. And like you mentioned already, the gold lead is just still so close. It's hard to talk about, but Inner Circle realize that maybe we don't even fight over this. What's a couple pushers, right? They don't even have the shards for the pushers, so let them get what they want. This Pyro, though, is that going to get dropped too for free? Yeah, it is.
Pyro Bomb available. Dagger still available to adapting as well. That's likely due to run out any moment now. And so, unfortunate there for Inner Circle. They'll have to give that one up. And EFG territory has arrived here for both teams. And so that is a game-ending objective potentially for the two teams that they're going to look towards. And shout out to Inner Circle. I mean, down a ton of kills early on this game, fighting back beautifully. They're in it for sure. And honestly, this game is, I feel like we're kind of in a coin toss territory here. I feel like either team, off of a good play, off of a good team fight, could win this game outright. Again, though, eChrome is reaching critical mass, has the build online, 120 stacks on the Devo's glove, ready to go.
I just hope the Banco has that prophetic stacked up all the way. I mean, I'm sure he does by this point in the game, but if not, I mean, we got to get that stacked up. That's a big Genetics health bar just disappeared. Scepter force away, but beads down. But oh my god, they're gonna go for it. Shell of Rebuke force away. Genetics is investing everything into this. Forces away the Wrath of Terra, and beads pull on to happen. Wind Sprite back and adapting to it straight for Genetics. Down goes one member of Inner Circle, and the damage from Sap 7 is surely online. eChrome melts down to do it, and this game has turned over on its head entirely. Smoke Break are running at Inner Circle. Theeks on the run, and Kosa might be caught up in a bit of a bad way. It looks like Inner Circle have found the retreat, and they walk towards tier 2. Smoke Break take that down with ease, and they're getting ready for the next FG, which will be enhanced. You've got to take that one if you're Smoke Break.
You got to look towards it. And Genetics just frontlining here, and look at the build Genetics has. It's 3 active items that don't make him the most tanky, and then a Gem of Isolation, just trying to provide more, sort of CC with those wisps. Now has the Stone of Binding. Genetics is just not tanky enough to properly frontline like Deduin. EFG up in 5 seconds. Got to imagine Smoke Break. They're going to rip it as soon as it spawns. Coast does have ultimate though, and eChrome has no beads. That has to be the target here.
Half health on the EFG. Smoke Break are burning this in the faces of Inner Circle. They still don't have to do it, so they know they can't take the fight. They want to go for a steal, but adapting's not going to give them any breathing room. Inner Circle back up. They retreat. They give up the EFG. Smoke Break get their hands on it. Obsidian Dagger in pocket for Sap 7 as they march up right side and look to take down that tier 2.
Enhanced Fire Giant, and so these Phoenixes will go down very quickly. Surprised they don't decide to back to base and go towards the Gold Fury. Make these Phoenixes even weaker here. But actually, that might be the call. They're backing off now, looking to reset the map. And with Sap 7's, threshold here for the Yanis, they can just be so quick across the map to get to these objectives. Pyromancer first, and then the Gold Fury. And as our spectator points out, it's Sap 7, the one who's been dying a lot of these fights, that has the dagger in hand.
And as they take their buffs with a Runic Bomb for Happen over to the Ancient Fury and look to take that down. Let's weaken this Titan room entirely. 3 weakened birds means that Inner Circle could maybe defend this. A very shoddy maybe, but can they make it happen? We'll find out shortly as Inner Circle prepare for what could be their last defense of the game. Smoke Break marching as 5 up left side.
They're grouping here. You can actually see Inner Circle also on the right-hand side grouping, but I think it's just to get the red buff. Yeah, they'll reset here. They'll make a full defense under their birds and try and go for it. This is going to be probably the last team fight. One team's going to get wiped here. Maybe the other will just kind of have to walk away licking their wounds. Smoke Break, the ones with the major advantage here, going for the siege.
And how will they walk in? What's their engage? That's been a question for us since Picks and Bans, and we still haven't even really found out. It's just been kind of adapting, running at people. But can adapting run under this bird to kill one of the backliners for Inner Circle? with Deduin and
Whoa.
Genetics in the front. But in goes a Blink with a 3-man Wrath of Terra. Nature's Grass to follow through as Deduin dives into the back line. Typhoon finds a knock up on Deduin. Sap 7 damage is pretty solid on to Deduin, but he's still alive. And it seems like the siege is not successful so far. Sap 7 down to half health. Still has Dagger, though. E-Chrome down to less than half. Looks like we need to split up this push.
Yeah, they have to. Sap 7 pushing in mid. You can see Coast in the jungle trying to hunt here. Benko has now used this open door here to try and get a side window. Scepter Dominion used.
And able to find a pull on 2. Stampede in, and how will Inner Circle take this fight? A 2-man Fear No Evil, followed by a tectonic shift, and adapting goes straight for Deduin's head and can't seem to take him down. Extremely low, but no cigar. Low and back under the fountain to heal things up and get ready for another big defense. Smoke Break not giving up on this left bird.
Sustain on both teams here for the support, and they're slowly able to keep their health bars topped up. Benko goes in.
He's able to find a route. Deduin's looking to shut down Benko. 1,000 health on the bird, but Theeks melts down Benko quick time. That's the go button for Inner Circle. You've got to find an engage. You've got to find a stun, but a nasty Typhoon. Nature's Grass locks him down. Street kills adapting. Down 2 members. Sap 7-0 barely misses. You could tell that Theeks felt the wind on that one, but it didn't extinguish the flame. Inner Circle are still moving.
You can see Fire Giant about to run out here for Smoke Break. And the game keeps on going. 41 minutes in here, Mort. And neither team can really break the base just yet. We'll go to another enhanced Fire Giant siege. And I don't know, man. I feel like Benko just going a little too early there. And multiple instances there, it was Smoke Break who were gotten very low and used their Fire Giant and the Aphrodite heals to sustain back up. But now, slowly but surely, it's been difficult to keep on going. You can see Elixir of Strength here picked up here for Benko. Interesting pickup here, especially on the E-set, who I feel like uses the int a little bit more, but maybe just looking for that enhanced auto attack power here to just keep on taking down the health bars. Maybe make the siege a little bit easier as well. But yeah, as our spectator points out, good shout there. Used as a Boomba's Hammer to pick up here for Benko. And so that will just make the auto attack a little bit stronger here with the 3K pot, as Enhanced Fire Giant will be the target, as I mentioned, as Pyromancer as well available for both these two teams. And right now, neither team has a Pyro Bomb and can certainly would love to have one in pocket.
A quick side anecdote. I have been casting Smite 2 once a week since the early alpha, right? I haven't seen Gem of Isolation since Smite 1. Genetics is pulling a wild card out on us. That I have never seen that item on a cast. I'm shocked. Now, granted, it's a whole lot of slows, and he does have AoEs with Wisp, so everybody gets slowed for a couple seconds. It's
or the ult.
Yeah, I guess the ult. It's a dot, yeah. So that helps too. Pyromancer gets dropped, and Smoke Break getting ready for this EFG. Ultimates available and online for both teams because this matters a whole hell of a lot. Inner Circle are waiting, hovering for an engage as the EFG gets burned down. Inner Circle are fine with letting them take a little bit of damage before this fight really breaks out.
Good stun over the wall for there from Benko. Deduin slowly making his way towards the pit here. And Smoke Break make the call to back off the objective for now. Benko doing a good job frontlining here. Has to be careful though, because Benko a few times now has been the target of Genex's pull. Really has to avoid that one unless he gets put in a really bad spot where Smoke Break can't really bail out their solo laner. An Inner Circle positioning here like they want this fight.
A lot of resources for both teams. Everything that you could possibly want. Relics, ults, everything are ready to go. It's just a matter of how do you start the engage. Smoke Break take two of their members and rotate them off to the ritual site. Let's get those pushers sent down lane and put a little bit more pressure on Inner Circle. After all, they've got a weakened bird on the left side they have to be careful of. Absolutely have to. So keep your eyes on that. But knocked up, Deduin's in trouble, gets melted down very quickly, and Adapting is going in with a Typhoon. A lot of damage dealt to Deduin, but he's not going to die. Smoke Break are continuing to walk up. Maybe can they find more picks? Deduin makes it back to the base, and nobody's dead. Genetics catches a little bit of damage, but a really nice ricochet from Streak there. Does some damage to Banco, but Smoke Break are still moving and comfortable as 5.
They need to make a decision here. 3 members on Smoke Break. Actually, no, Banco in trouble.
Blinks in and hits a stun, has some more stuns, and Banco all of a sudden very low. The Sunbreaker thrown down, and Smoke Break throwing everything they can at Deduin. Coast takes a lot of damage as well, who's forced to back away, and Inner Circle now retreating. Smoke Break are fine with dropping the EFG. They really want this pick, but they can't seem to get a kill.
They need it. They need an important pick here. Deduin or Genetics will both do as a pick, especially Genetics now at this stage has healing, so can play these fights fairly long. Fire's going quick, though. It's down to 7.
Down to 5, 4. They make their way in. Inner Circle looking for a steal. The Typhoon's a little bit early. Happens able to secure the EFG. Inner Circle are running for their life right after. No, they're going to take for a fight. Wrath of Terra off the mark. Sap 7 drops 1. Genetics dead. Banco gets the kill. Deduin extremely low, and so is Coast. 7 drops 1, and Deduin takes down E-Chrome. Down their carry, but the rest of Smoke Break are gunning after Deduin. What can Theeks do? How can they turn this around? They almost drop happen, but the dagger will save their life. Oh my God. Sap 7 with a nasty dagger. It takes down Theeks right after. Deduin with 100 health to his name and no way to save this game. Smoke Break have 4 members with EFG and march up mid lane with hopes to take game 1.
That should be the game there, more. I'm pretty sure Sap 7 just one-shot Theeks with the Unstable Vortex, and Smoke Break, after a long, grueling battle, will push down mid and threaten this Titan. The damage has to come through from adapting in Sap 7, only to Deduin alive.
And Scepter won't stop them today. Down goes the Titan as Deduin can do nothing but watch. One last Typhoon for the Marvels. Banco takes down the Titan. Game 1 goes to Smoke Break.
What a game number 1 between these two teams. That was awesome, Mort. That was, I'm just gonna be a fan for a second. That was so cool. I don't think I've seen a game of Smite 2 like that in a long time. Just high level play, like fights on the edge there. I mean, Vaporesh Coast with a massive Fear No Evil at the end there, and it just so close, just not enough damage to take down E-Chrome right away. He lives, he gets so much damage off in time. Just so close. A real battle of inches between these two teams.
Just incredible play from both sides. I think you hit it on the nail. I mean, I'm trying hard not to be a fan here too, because it's just wild what was going on here. And you could tell, I mean, really what I think could have changed this game up the most, I think Genetics looked a little rusty on the Sylvanas. We missed a couple pulls, some ults were off the mark, and granted, sometimes they're for CC immunity, you know, but I think that a support changeup, if Genetics didn't have to lose the Emoja and the Horus and had some more picks to look at, I think that could have changed this game in a really big way. Other than that, I think that this was just a really good back and forth.
I agree. And you say it's the pick. I honestly think Genetics had a good game on the pick itself. To me, it's the build. Again, Genetics is just forward here, and you can see he's not the most tanky. Really, I think needed some true just frontline based items, right? Maybe a Cersei as well to just be more like safe, I guess. Scepter Dominion, great pickup, sure. Stampede worked as well, really great for the team, but just ended up dying after blinking in multiple times, or at least not getting value out of the blink, because immediately there's an Aphrodite ult and E-Chrome can throw a few autos back in trade. This play is sick, by the way. Shoutouts to, you know, adapting, really not letting this one go, just kind of hangs back for so long. Right here, takes the portal as soon as the play looks like it's dead and goes all in for Genetics. Goes in deep and helps the team find the kill on a Deduin as well. What a moment there for the jungler on the side of Smoke Break. Just so close between these two teams. And I believe this is the final fight here, if I'm not mistaken. Big portal there. Watch Coast here with this big ultimate. Hits everyone in that moment. Pops ultimates and CC immunities, and so it's immune. And so everyone can throw out their damage right away. Love that play.
And watch at this last second here. Sap 7's going to pull a crazy dagger play goes down to less than 5 and barely hits the reaction time. Watch how he treats Theeks.
What can you do? What can you do if you're Theeks there? I mean, there's just a Yanis with so much power on the other side, Soul Gem as well. 6 stacks on Necronomicon, by the way, because of that entire team fight. What do you do, right? You're just dead.
And you know, I think that you hear players talk about, oh, I just got one shot, and they lose 80% of their health or something like that.
Not a
that
true
was
one shot.
a regular ability. That wasn't an ultimate. That was a regular old ability for Zap 7. Threw it out and literally one shot. Like literally what? And part of that too is because the fight favored Smoke Break there. So Zap 7 had 6 Necro stacks, all 6 Necro stacks in hand. And with that much intelligence, it's hard not to one shot. You know what I mean? That's just what Yanis do. That's just what Yanis do. But go ahead.
Yeah, EFG plus, I mean, all those items, Necro stacked up as well. Probably a 3K pot as well, somewhere in there. I mean, there's no world Theeks is living that one.
Well, thankfully, we've got more Smite to go. That was only game 1 of a best of 3. So will Smoke Break be able to sweep, or can Inner Circle bring it back? We'll find out when we come back from the ad break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Smite Prime Summer Bash. We're here with an EU Conquest tournament. We're talking about Game 2 of the Grand Finals of the tournament today. Morty and Book in the booth today, and we've got some things to talk about before we make our way in. A big, important talking point, vault bans. In a best of 3 set, once a god is played, that god is locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by either team for the rest of the set. So all 10 gods you saw last game will not be seen anymore for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it just means set 7 can't one-shot Theeks on the other side with, Yanis again at the very least. So I feel like, they'll be, Inner Circle will be really happy about that one. Look, this is, I talk about vault bans and how they're so important, and game 1 is so important in this best of 3 because of vault bans. All 10 of these characters are off the table. We have a big deal going into these game 2 picks and bans.
Game 2 is ready to go. Let's check it out. Let's talk about what's happening with game 2 and these players that are here, these gods they want to pick up, and the 10 gods that can no longer be played anymore. No more Sylvanas, no more Jingwei, no more Reset Hu Yi. All of these gods are gone. And the 6 gods that will be banned, 3 for each team. So, we're losing some options here. And granted, some of these players who aren't super regular, you know what I mean? At least we don't see them that often. Maybe they stream, or maybe they just don't play that much. They might not have as many picks as, we're used to seeing some of these players have.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what the fallback is, because I feel like Adapting and Sap 7 have been running this 2v2 of Yanis and then Susano or Yanis Aladdin all day today. And so curious to see what they go towards, just because Adapting as well has been so successful on the Hanbots, and that's been taken away by Coast, one of his better picks. So curious to see where both these junglers decide to go in terms of god selection here. I mean, Jingwei off the table as well. Hu Yi, Medusa probably rises a little bit in priority on her as well. Maybe the Cupid that we saw Streak play earlier today will be a more prevalent pick, but maybe with no Yamoja, Cupid not the most successful idea here for this dual lane on the side of Inner Circle.
Yeah, because I feel like Cupid slotted in really well into that big circle comp. You know what I mean? But I feel like that was kind of expended with the last game because the Kabrakian's gone, the Hunbats is gone. A lot of big circles that Inner Circle have been running all day today are off the table. So now we're wondering, if we do want to pick Cupid, where does it pair into? Does it pair with an Artio? I don't know.
Yeah, kind of curious about this one. Clearly, Inner Circle are wanting to do and to really prioritize this pick, and really kind of see more of the draft before Theeks can go towards their option, or the dual lane can really round out their identity here. Smoke Break, I love this already. Adapting to be rocking the Aladdin. We saw Echrome pilot this Ishtar earlier today with a lot of success as well, going towards a similar build that we saw in the Jingwei just a game ago. I'm really excited already for this Smoke Break top 2.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very nice slide for Echrome. I think he looked very good on the Ishtar earlier, and it kind of functions similar to the Jingwei. You've got a little bit less mobility, but a pretty good amount of damage still. You know what I mean? You might not be critting your butt off with these, proc this and proc that, but still, you've got a couple options. You've got lob shots over the walls if you want to steal a buff away early. You've got a couple of different options to play with Ishtar. So I'm a big fan of seeing that slide through for Smoke Break. Thor is going to be a follow-up, probably going towards the jungle. Very small chance it goes to genetics, but I highly doubt it. I think that streak picking up Cupid is a W here. We're flying through these picks and bans right now.
Yeah, kind of similar to last game. I feel like we really got through our first couple of picks. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams really kind of take their time with their last round of selections here. I like the idea for the Cupid here, following up off the Thor in particular, just more layered CC, kind of what we saw in game one. I mean, you mentioned like, oh, a lot of the circles are kind of gone, but clearly Inner Circle are all in on this circle identity here, going towards the Thor ultimate with a big circle, Cupid ult with a big circle, another big circle in the form of Zeus. And I kind of touched earlier on how, you have a Thor selection here. What's the follow-up damage? Zeus can be that follow-up damage here for Inner Circle.
That doesn't make anything better.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is an interesting idea here. I feel like this is genetics really thinking about this pick here. Nuwa, Ganesh would make a lot more sense here for this team.
Yeah.
The ult as well to keep people in place. I feel like, I do worry a little bit though. This is kind of similar to game one. We saw in game one where Inner Circle seemed to lack just that little bit of extra damage to finish off the kills. I feel like this is a similar instance in this game where they're going to lack a little bit of extra damage. Maybe that's something Ganesha can provide, but not to the same extent as maybe, say, that Zeus would have, alongside these big circles and the lockdown fields that are already provided to it.
I really like the comp over here, Smoke Break. Aladdin is going to find a lot of damage off the Goomba Stomp, running up the wall and then slamming back down on somebody. But granted, there are a lot of walls in Conquest, but what are the odds that it have things like, man, I would really love to wall run onto something, but I've just got no walls nearby. And then happens all of a sudden, like, dude, you wouldn't believe what I have for you. Like, you would be shocked to find out what I can do. And then just like the ice walls up, like, I got you, big dog. Like, you don't even worry about it. It's kind of like an alley-oop, if you will. Like, I'll give you something to run off of, like a launch pad of sorts. So that could be an exciting thing to watch. I highly doubt it ever works out like that, but just the hypothetical is pretty hilarious to me.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool idea for sure, Mort, but I think that's only going to be an idea at the end of the day. It's just one of your ideas, So
for the arena cues.
At the end of the day, though, I like this idea for Smoke Break and the Aladdin for sure, but I do worry a little bit for this Aladdin here. And against this composition of Inner Circle, there's 2 cripple fields on the other side and a silence as well. A lot of what Adapting wants to do, which is dive the backline, is going to be stunted in all sorts of ways. The Thor wall to stun, the Cupid ult will deny his dashes, which is a big part of his damage. Ganesha silence as well, doesn't let him kind of dive effectively. RDO cripple field does the same as the Cupid ultimate field. So it's a toughie here, I think, for Adapting in particular. He's got some good tools around him to try and bait abilities, though, at the very least. You got Sap 7 that's going to be rocking this Poseidon here. The Whirlpool, cripple combination will be really effective and deny a lot of the mobility on the side of Inner Circle at the very least, and some good burst damage. But I don't know, man. I do worry a little bit for Adapting this game. He was a big part of their winning game one, and he needs to have another good game too.
Well, you say you worry, Book, but worry no more. The game's ready to go, so enough worrying. We're just going to find out so we can put your mind at ease. Morty and Book in the booth today, and we've got Test Die, Jithens, and Musi behind the scenes making all these pretty colors you see on screen happen. And Book, we've got our races and our places. The floor is yours.
Yep. This is set to be a good one here. Nothing too crazy stands out just yet upon first glance here. I do actually want to note, Adapting going towards this Conduit gem in the jungle as a starter option, not the Boomba's hammer that we often seen, junglers kind of go towards now. Kind of similar to what we've seen from mid laners that go towards it, just able to clear a little bit more effectively, good burst damage initially. And Aladdin, one of those characters that kind of wants to poke from a distance and then go for an all-in. And Conduit gem, and once they eventually upgrade it to the Archmage, will be, helps fit that playstyle really well in the early game.
And I think what we've been seeing, you asked about this earlier on today, what are Aladdin players running now that the double stacking, Book of Thoth and Transcendence builds aren't as worthy? We're seeing a lot of high intelligence from what I've been watching. As of yesterday, we did see an Aladdin game, and it was a lot of high intelligence, right? And it goes exactly along with the play style that you're talking about, where we're focused on poking. Oh,
Wealth Wish.
Right in front of us. Man.
Just wants to get early, active early gold, early on and whatnot. So love that idea, but I feel like that's not something we see too often. Often we see the Wealth Wish popped right before you're going to get a kill because you get bonus gold for it. But I mean, today we've kind of just been seeing a lot of, slow early games, a little bit of scrapping here and there. Maybe adapting just says, hey, I want to use this early, try and get an early gold spike over my opponent, and then use that advantage. Because again, we talked about the E playstyle. It's small victories into bigger victories, into bigger leads and whatnot. And so maybe using that kind of early advantage of that gold lead just to try and get a little bit more happen, forced to shell.
And a lot of damage thrown out from Streak. The basics from Genetics too, but Streak is the one that's really slamming damage, but they come together to find first blood and a circle come up.
I love that here for Inner Circle, as a dash does connect on E-Chrome, forced to use the beads as well. And so this dual lane on the left-hand side, very susceptible to a gank all of a sudden for Coast once they hit level 5. And you gotta imagine, I mean, look, the idea is for Happen to be a target. Last game, he was able to peel really effectively. This game on the Ymir, he gets to be a little more aggressive, use these walls and these freezes to just be aggressive in this lane as well as in the team fights. But right now, very susceptible to the punishment of no mobility for the Ymir. Use the shell, already takes a spill. And kind of similar to when we saw Inner Circle the series before, they're being very comfortable in this dual lane, pushing effectively.
One thing I didn't even think about counter matchup wise is that Genetics actually has a way to break through the ice wall. His 3 trample will not just go through the ice wall, but it destroys it too.
Yep. And that's going to be very good. I think that's why Genetics has gone for this pick, because a lot of his characters do kind of get punished by the wall, specifically the Cupid. And we saw earlier again when Genetics played Yamoja, how important it was to keep their ADC alive and continue to farm out, build a lead, and be effective as the game went on. This time around, Genetics is less peel oriented than say the Sylvanas, say the Yamoja we saw previously. This time around, a little more of a kind of frontliney zone, can provide peel in the form of a silence though.
Yeah. And that silence will make a lot of difference when it comes to these late game team fights. For now, we'll focus on the Firebrands. Yeah, very early rotation. What in the world? You're pulling up to Brands for what? To show off your big elephant muscles? What is going on here?
That's kind of big because now you can see left-hand side, E-Chrome and Happen now invading the purple buff. Taking this one away from Streak is a big deal here. But look at this.
Yeah.
Coast and Genetics on the way back.
They're getting their purple back. They're getting it back in blood if they have to. Doing getting chased under the tier 1 tower.
Ooh.
Decent damage from adapting says that Doing doesn't have to go back here. Meanwhile, you can see Vaporish Coast on top of the purple buff. He's going to take that away and end up picking it up too. He's not going to let it sit there. He's taking it for himself.
I mean, there's no real way Streak can go pick that one up here right now. He wants to keep on his rotation here, push the wave, hit this gold camp on the left-hand side, then wait for that speed buff. Neutral speed buff to spawn and go for that. But Coast still hovering to this left-hand side, is level 5 and has access to that ultimate.
A nice trample forces beads away from E-Chrome. Blades of Retribution in response. The Dharmic Pillar is thrown down to slow down E-Chrome, so we can't go too much farther towards the tower. And look at Coast, who dashes in. He's landing from the skies and slams down for a stun. Hits another stun and hits a hammer straight to the skull of E-Chrome. Down they go, and a kill picked up for Inner Circle.
Good beats pull there from Genetics early on. Forced the ultimate and the beats out of E-Chrome. Puts him in a really bad spot there. And honestly, the dueling kind of grouping together, Happen and E-Chrome sinking back up. And then that gives Coast a clear avenue to dunk on top of both of them. And so all of a sudden, Inner Circle off to a really good start here on the left-hand side. Both ADC and Jungler with an early kill. Smoke Break, meanwhile, they're pretty content to just keep farming it out, it seems. You can see Adapting has that first item just now completed here in this form of the Spear of Desolation. Same thing for Sap 7. So wouldn't be surprised if this 2v2 starts to get a little active around the map. This is an item that benefits really well off of getting kills and assists to keep up fights. I wouldn't be surprised if they just start looking to scrap a little bit more.
Yeah, that Deso is going to be very nice when these fights start going down. Granted, the Wealth Wish is gone. You know what I mean? The Wealth Wish is already over. So any type of bonuses he would have got from that are out the window. I'm sure he picked up a lot from the farm and everything. GPM, he's not too great, so I'm sure this probably worn down. Well, it's been over a minute, so the GPM's gone down now. But curious to see what it was beforehand. I should have looked. Dang.
Well, you could see. I mean, he's pretty far ahead of Coast there at the very least. And so in a pretty good spot, and credit to Adapting as well. They lost the first round of Firebrands on the right-hand side, so they didn't end up, getting that bit of farms. So despite and also Coast has a kill, right? Adapting doesn't. And so despite all that, despite Adapting losing some of the neutral farm, and important neutral farm at that, despite not getting an early kill, he's ahead in gold per minute over Vaporish Coast. He's just doing a better job farming right now.
One point I want to mention about the Thor is that we did see the Thor earlier today from Sunprod, and it didn't go. Oh, hold on. Streak gets a kill on Echrome, and check out Vaporish Coast. Moving up the left side, maybe he wants to find another kill. This one on Happen. Over the wall, he could throw a hammer and a wall combo for some damage, but instead we'll kind of let him play back a little bit. Coast is keeping an eye out for maybe Adapting, who might show up, but over on the right side, we're seeing Adapting. That's where he is, but they're looking for a gank onto the big bear and jumping over the wall with the Osai ult and into it. I don't know, no lamp yet. Adapting's just going to go for the kill. Hits the Power Wish, dashes forward, no lamp needed. Goodness gracious, a great play from Adapting.
I feel like that's a bit of an ambitious Power Wish there. You can see Echrome and Happen trying to contest this first Gold Fury here. As Coast does go to the sky.
Oh, into the air, slams back down, finds a stun on to Happen, who cannot steal the Gold Fury. It goes the way of Inner Circle. The first one of the game is going to favor them.
Yeah, at the very least, Happen has Cersei's Hexstone completed now, so can be a little safer now on this Ymir. Could also be a little more aggressive if he wants to, but gotta imagine with how this early game has gone, Happen needs to start stop dying in that left-hand side. Needs to spend some time farming, getting a little tankier, get some more of these active items online to help out the team. But thanks to that gank on the right-hand side, it seems like Smokebreak have gotten back control of this right-hand side jungle, and we'll get this next round of Firebrands to their name, and Adapting on this Aladdin, continuing to scale, be in a good spot. Again, to me, that Power Wish a little much on the right-hand side to get that kill. Maybe should have just used the lamp, put him in a bad spot, and then finished off the kill, then walked out after, but maybe not fully aware of where Coast was on the map, and so felt they had to get that kill and get out without using the lamp.
So, 8.5 minutes into the game, 4-1. Inner Circle have a kill lead and a gold lead. That's present. It's not huge, it's not humongous, but it is a gold lead, right? And granted, last game, the gold was very indecisive, right? It was just kind of back and forth, no real lead for quite some time. I have a feeling this game is going to be very similar.
Yeah, this is, I mean, look already at the graph, right? Like, this is very similar to game one, where it's just back and forth. Both teams finding wins, and it was Inner Circle that got a lot of the Gold Furies on the left-hand side, while Smokebreak got a lot of objectives on the right-hand side, and a lot of ganks as well. And sure enough, where's Adapting? He's ganking Deduin on the right-hand side again.
Deduin, no, please, run for your life. Aladdin's here yet again. A two-man bear stun will maybe save Deduin for just a moment, but beadsing the lamp is a pretty nice play. And Deduin might escape with 10 health. That is criminal. Very nice from Deduin. And also Coast, who showed up through the Thor wall down and made sure that do it. Oh my god. Please, but that's not even where the kill is happening. It's Genetics that takes a spill over the duo's side to Echrome. A nice play on their part. Ghost shows up in mid lane, and the Kraken's thrown down to maybe save Sap, but whiffed just a tad bit. Adapting shows up for a bit of help to make sure that Sap does not fall there. Ghost is able to retreat, and no blood spilled in mid lane, but Genetics did die in left side.
Who says EU plays a slow play style, man? I mean, it's just chaos across the map there. Adapting, make a play on the right-hand side. Left-hand side, Genetics and Streak try and be aggressive, but Echrome lives with a sliver of HP. and Genetics is the one to take a spill now. And so all of a sudden, Adapting able to be back on the right-hand side on top of these Firebrands. And all of a sudden, they're in a pretty good spot going into the mid game. And check it out. Yet again, SAP7 has gone for the Necronomicon in the second item slot. And on a Poseidon, I mean, it's not like Yanis, right? Where you can be so incredibly safe, just hop over walls to safety. It's on a Poseidon. The guy with no dash has some self-peel in the form of the Whirlpool Kraken and the knockback on the one, sure, but it's just not to the same level of security as a Yanis who can just hop over a wall, get so much movement speed when he drops his 3 on the ground. I worry for SAP7 on this item that this might have been bought a little too soon.
I think so too. I think so as well. You know, I'm sure that he'll get some favor from it later on. And it also kind of helps with that one-shot build. We talked about how, you know, it's going to be hard to one-shot a lot of other people because you don't have Giannis anymore. He got vault banned away. But, you know, I think if there's any other mid laner that can really pull off that one-shot, I think a well-timed Kraken could pull it off. So I'm happy that it's there. We just won't see a lot of favor from it early. A lot of posturing on the left side around Gold Fury because that's about to respawn. Inner Circle want their second one of the game earlier than later. I think it's a smart play, but it's all about making it happen.
Pyromancer being done here by SAP7. He can't solo it and has to back to base at the end of the day. Unfortunate for him, as that's all that play is there, I guess. They try to trade neutral objectives while Inner Circle group for the Oracles. SAP7 tries to trade with the Pyromancer, and Adapting could have rotated there. Instead, just hung out in the right-hand side, and SAP7 has to back, I guess. I don't know. It's just a weird moment there where it's like, there's no way this Poseidon thinks he can solo out this objective, right? And then he tried, and then he couldn't.
Well, you never know. You never know, right? For all we know, I mean, you can sell out FG here in a minute. No, I'm just kidding. Probably not. But Pyro getting burned away now. Smoke break to have 3 members on top of it.
Whoa.
With rotation from Banco. Maybe make it 4. Into the air goes Coast, looking to land back down on Echrome. But the beads is forced away. Decent amount of damage dealt. And Dharmic Pillars thrown down. Streak's able to capitalize. And Echrome will fall between the pillars. So a kill for Inner Circle means that 3 members of Inner Circle march towards Gold Fury and look to take it down. Happen teleporting up mid lane. And nobody else from Smoke break even near the Gold Fury, so Inner Circle can grab a second.
I mean, they can't. Ecro being dead here is a big deal. I mean, has that Devo's glove completed and stacked up, and so with him dead, you can't really afford to contest this right now. You kind of have to give and just trade yet again what you've been doing this entire series. They get gold, we get the Pyromancer and the Firebrands on the right, and we maybe gank to doing on the right again or left again. We're right.
And right, left, right, to doing, oh, doing it down, dead, to doing, dead doing, to deaden. Down goes the solo laner for Inner Circle yet again. 2 deaths, and granted, considering what Inner Circle got on the other side of the map, I don't really care. Yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. You know, you call it how you see it. Ghost is gonna kill Chrome? Nah, really? What?
Again, I mean, this is kind of an adaptation from game number 1 where we saw so much trading here between the 2 junglers. Adapting spent a lot of time on the right, and Coast spent a lot of time on the left. And Coast didn't get a lot. They would get the Gold Fury, which is great, as Kraken goes wide there in the mid lane from SAP7 onto Theeks. But good. Coast never really ganked Echrome a ton, and part of that was because Echrome was on the Jingwei, incredibly safe. This time around on the Ishtar, a much, much easier target to gank out and keep focusing, and so Echrome already 1-4 on this Ishtar really is going to start needing a little bit of help here, either from Adapting or Happen is just going to have to play bouncer here. And look where Coast is again, ganking Echrome in left.
Please let him breathe. The Blades of Retribution will provide CC immunity, but the hammer combo off the wall from Coast takes him down to half health. That's one ability, by the way. Fields of Love a little too short, but Streak's gonna dive under the tower anyways. Echrome's got damage to back himself up, so Inner Circle can't find the kill there. Rather unfortunate for their investment, because 2 ults definitely means a lot, but with no objectives to look at for a short amount of time, I think it's A-okay. Well, I say no objectives, but Queen Naga spawns in 20.
Yeah, but it's going to be up soon, and Echrome not on the Jingwei and very far behind here. Are they going to elect to rotate on over? I'm not so certain. Echrome needs to spend some time farming, down 2 levels to this Cupid, but you can already see walking on over with 2 items versus Streak, who's already got the components there for the Titan's Bane. this is going to be a tough fight if Smoke Break decide to go for it. But look at this, actually. That's your guy, right? Like that's your guy.
It's all good. Queen Naga getting taken down. Let's focus on that. Queen Naga down to 4K. Doings around the corner, looking for a setup here. Dharmic Pillar's thrown down and sets up in a really big way. Sap 7 a little wide with the ult, but Sap 7 does catch the end of it into the back line. Coast is taking a whole lot of damage, and Adapting is going crazy with some damage here. Queen Naga still up though, but it's not gonna recover health. It's at 2K still. Means the Smoke Break can just walk towards it. Streak wants to secure, but doesn't get there in time. Smoke Break take Queen Naga into doing walking forward, looking to find a little bit of revenge, but the numbers game favors Smoke Break. I don't know if Inner Circle can do anything about that.
They're going to go mid instead. They're grouping here for the mid lane tier 1 tower, but Smoke Break on the way with Sap 7 not here just yet. The wave clear is the best, and Coast up to the sky. They probably have to give the tier 1.
So Coast lands down, doesn't find a stun, but he's in a good spot to stop Smoke Break from stopping them from taking the tier 1. So Inner Circle grab a bit of gold, maybe not through blood, but through a fallen structure. And, you know, it's better than nothing, right? Pyromancer gets burned right after, and Smoke Break watching right now. Banco pathing high, looking for a potential steal, but looks like Smoke Break gonna be. Wait, no. They did steal it. Adapting stole the Pyromancer, and there's a fight to be had right after. The Fields of Love thrown down following the Blades of Retribution. Adapting's around the corner and gunning for Coast, but Streak takes down Happen in the process. A great play from Inner Circle to respond to the Pyro steal. A lot of low health bars across Smoke Break means Inner Circle can maybe do something off of this. Gold Fury, FG, all available. What will they prioritize?
Gotta imagine it's the Gold Fury here. I don't think you try and out-confirm Poseidon Kraken here. Instead, they're just gonna play aggressive on the left-hand side. Keep taking farm away from E-Chrome. I like this idea here. Don't allow this Ishtar to scale up the way she did last game, at least on the Jingwei. But, you know, Ishtar can do a lot of damage with this Devo's eventual crit build. Those, you know, empowered auto attacks when you get the long range form will start to swing as you continue to scale up. And so I like the idea of keeping this Ishtar behind, not letting her get to a comfortable spot. This would be the third Gold Fury, though, again for Inner Circle, if they decide to go for it. But look at this, a Host hunting Adapting here on the right-hand side, and Adapting doesn't have beads.
Into the lamp we go. Adapting and Coast, and now Taduin's in there, and Adapting's just looking to buy some time. And you can buy a little bit, but it won't save your life. Down goes Aladdin, and fighting their way into this. Banco has got some damage to offer. Sap 7 destroys Coast outside the lamp. Everybody was waiting outside saying, hey, you might have felt very good in the lamp, but when you get back to the real world, it's about to hit you like a brick.
Adapting knows he's dead there, pops the lamp and pulls in 2 members, I guess, at the end of the day. Taduin, you know, willingly went into that lamp, and now Sap 7 pulling the Fire Giant 18 minutes in. Stop me if you've heard that one before, Mort, because it's happening again here for Smoke Break.
A nice root from Theeks will give a little bit of space while Smoke Break decides to take down the FG. It's down to 5K. Happen hits the Frost Breath, and Genetics is here with the Dharmic Pillars, wants to seal it away. He might have dropped it a little bit too early. Streak is able to secure FG. Inner Circle have stolen it from the hands of Smoke Break, ripped it out of their hands like candy from a baby. Theeks takes down Happen right after, but Smoke Break are going to continue to fight. Down goes the Kraken, but it doesn't do too much. Coast lands down onto Adapting and hits the shutdown. Dagger used and gunning for everybody left of Smoke Break. Over the wall goes Banco. Sap 7 is trying to buy some space so they can retreat up mid lane. Inner Circle say, thanks for the FG and thanks for the kills. What will we do with that? You'll find out. The tier 2 tower will fall right after, and Inner Circle are coming back in a really big way.
Phoenix could be the target. No, instead, Inner Circle decide to back off, take the left-hand side jungle, and look for the Gold Fury as well. Genetics just wants this little bit of farm taken away here with that ultimate. Has to be careful because members are respawning here. But yeah, I mean, he's got Chronos Pennant online, so he's got the CDR for it. Theeks hunting here?
Yeah, you got some damage off. It's just it's damage testing, right? It's limit testing. What can we do, right?
Course.
That's what things are doing. Yeah. We're not really looking for bigs, but if it's there, it's there.
No,
You know, the next path
no
to
ult
high.
for the Gold Fury. No ult for the Gold Fury now, and Benko is here trying to contest. No one else on Smoke Break really here as well, though. It's just Benko, but that's an important zoning tool.
Okay, but in we go. The golden apple thrown down. Cersei's doesn't provide much. But down goes the gold. It's gonna go to Inner Circle. Look at Genetics go. The Dharmic Pillar's thrown down. Make your way out of that one. You're stuck in place. I might not have got the kill, but I sure as hell made a statement. Great play by Inner Circle.
Love that moment there from Inner Circle. Genetics just popping whatever, chasing out members, keeping the zonage up. Really good job there. And 3 Gold Fury pips to Inner Circle. Smoke Break, I mean, compared to last game, their comp, it scales decently well, right? The Poseidon kind of falls off a little bit, but Aladdin and Ishtar scale really well. But this Ymir for Happen really hasn't worked out the best. The walls have been on point, sure, but 0-4, this Ymir pick has just been consistently dying because there's no real mobility for him. And the composition of Inner Circle really punishes characters with no mobility to their name. You can see Inner Circle now grouping 4 members with Fire Giant still. Streak not having it as they're hunting. Enko forced ult.
So, 21 minutes into the game, Inner Circle have found a pretty big return. 3 Gold Furies and Fire Giant buffs around everybody but Streak's waist. And where will they go to continue their rampage? Towards the right side, looking for the tier 1 tower. The Golden Apple Snipe is extremely accurate. Look at that damage onto Benko. Dharmic Pillar's thrown down yet again. Benko says, I've seen this before. Where can I go? To my tombstone is where Benko will lie. And Smoke Break have lost their solo. Inner Circle marching up right yet again.
They can look for a Phoenix here. The wave is on the way, and with Benko dead, that's a lot of the front line down here for Smoke Break. Snap 7 and adapting. Still split pushing here. Coast up in the air.
Where will they land? On top of Happen. Barely off the mark. And lands a Frost Breath as soon as Coast is ready. 7 is able to get down the tier 2, and away the bird goes as well.
Sap 7 still pushing here, so is adapting. Tier 2 getting low here, but they can't confirm it. So they'll have to back off. Fire Giant not available just yet, and so Smoke Break just trying to split the map here. Find whatever farm they can. Sap 7 hits level 20, has 3 stacks of this Necronomicon online. Is going to be a big part of how Smoke Break really kind of get back into this game. And at the very least, you only lose the right-hand side Phoenix. It's not great, sure, because you do have to spend some time farming and pushing the wave out before you can look to contest the Fire Giant. But now all of a sudden, you can afford to kind of just contest this next FG period. You don't have to send Adapting or Benko to the left-hand side to defend Fireways from taking down your Titan. While you're trying to contest an FG at the same time, you can push the right-hand side and then fall back a little bit, push again, and then try and contest again. It's this little thing they have to do before they contest the FG is Genetics has a World Stone, and that's going to make his ult cooldown a whole lot quicker for this Ganesh all of a sudden. What an item pickup here. 30% off the cooldown of the ultimate ability, as well as just a lot of power to this Elephant Man.
Yeah, those Dharmic Pillars are going to hurt. Inner Circle posturing around Pyromancer, and they burn it down quickly. Happens postured up high, but can't do much about it.
And not much they can do. Smoke Break have to back away. Good wall, but they're still hunting. Happen forced to Cersei's.
And Genetics trampled through the wall to destroy it as soon as it was thrown up. So Benko posturing high and looking for a flank onto somebody. Smoke Break seemed confident in taking this fight. Blades of Retribution was really good there. And it feels a love in response, but it won't stop Benko from taking down Genetics. Into the air goes Coast with low health, but I hopes that he can find a pick, but he passed to safety instead in the FG pit.
E-Chrome with that crazy ultimate. Everyone on Inner Circle just condense into that small corridor, and E-Chrome says, guys, I got this. Let's go, go, go. And they find only one, but still, at the end of the day, it is a victory for Smoke Break. It's gonna be about what they can get off of this pick here, while Genetics is dead for another 16 seconds. But at the very least, beads down on Deduin, beads down on Vaporish Coast, shell down on Genetics. and you have every relic available grouping around this fire giant, Smoke Break might be the ones to pull it.
So, FG is getting looked at. Smoke Break have what it takes. A couple ults and especially a lamp ready to go. Shards of Ice could secure this, but Theeks also has a stealing opportunity in mind. Inner Circle make their way into the FG pit to back off Smoke Break.
Yeah, I don't feel like Smoke Break feel the most comfortable going for the all-in. Even if they have a Kraken to confirm it, it feels kind of bad to use that big team fight tool on the objective and not get a lot of value of it in the fight itself. So Sap7 wants to hold that ultimate for the fight, I imagine, rather than using it to the objective. As again, eChrome just needs to find a lane to push in, and he's found the right-hand side to keep pushing waves and keep stacking up that Diva's Gloves. 88 stacks online, 25 minutes in. Definitely not the best record here, as last game was much better, as Fire Giant being pulled here.
Down to 10k. Sap7 throws the Kraken down, but it doesn't find too much damage. And down to 5. FG still getting burned. Doing zoning away 1, but in the pit has happened. Who does have an ult ready to go to maybe steal. Smoke Break are able to zone Inner Circle off of the FG pull entirely. Look in the backside. Deduin's getting ran down by adapting. Into the lamp they go as Sap7 collapses on the genetics. And down goes 1. Deduin will surely be next. You can only buy so much time, and right after Smoke Break hop onto the FG.
Banco, man. He's just in the face of 4 people, stopping them from hitting the Fire Giant and stopping them from walking forward by so much time.
Into the air goes Coast, looking to steal. Sap7 secures FG.
Call is made to back off. Coast heading wide to the left-hand side, and Fire Giant going to Smoke Break. I mean, what a crazy fight, man. And it's been back and forth all game long. You feel like Inner Circle is suddenly in the driver's seat off of a Fire Giant. They steal that one away. They get the right-hand side Phoenix as well. And Smoke Break just do not go away. They don't give up. They keep playing smart, finding windows, corralling Inner Circle into tight corridors that allow this Ishtar ult to do so much work to start the fight. I mean, it's crazy. That's how Smoke Break have been consistently starting fights now. Is this Ishtar ultimate? That's the ADC, by the way, not the support and not the solo laner.
Gold Fury goes down. Inner Circle a little late to the party. You can see there's a couple of Inner Circle that want to chase down what's left of Smoke Break after burning gold, but haven't been able to find anybody yet, except for maybe Banco, who went over to the left side, didn't retreat back, found a knockup and a stun. Look at this. Banco, please, he might find his way out of this. He's looking for blood because Adapting showed up and throws out the lamp. No, the lamp's still ready. Ghost is on the run. Blades of Retribution forces beats away from Theeks. And look at Genetics pathing high. Look at his zone so Theeks can escape. Deduin running for their life as well. And Smoke Break are looking to save their friend and grab a couple kills in the process.
Sap7 still on the hunt here, has Dagger, so he could be the first one forward. 5 stacks of the Necronomicon ready to go. That's why he's the one with Dagger. Smoke Break have to send Adapting back to the right-hand side with that Naga minion pushing, but maybe Deduin is stuck around a little too long. No, is okay to push the wave out. Does lose the tier 2 tower, though, at the very least. And look at Genetics on the right-hand side, teleporting on over, looking for Adapting. Maybe no, cancels it early.
28.5 minutes into the game, 11-9 is the scoreboard. A 5k gold lead for Smoke Break and 3 Gold Fury pips for Inner Circle. This means their next siege will be quite smooth if they can manage to find an upper hand over Smoke Break.
Big window here for sure. And I am curious to see how this next fight unfolds, really. Thank you, Spectator, as Nimble Ring is picked up here for Sap7. Wants to utilize that 2 ability on the Poseidon, just get empowered auto attacks and swing a little bit more and faster. And now building to a little defense as well. A little shout out there. Wants to keep these 5, potentially 6 stacks online for this item. It's a ton of power that you would like to ideally keep, as Smoke Break's siege potential is really good all of a sudden. You feel like eChrome can start using those empowered long-range auto attacks on the 1 to play poke game, while it's Sap7 who can use the power of his 2 and the Nimble Ring to take down these objectives and these, siege the towers, siege the Phoenixes. There's only 1 Phoenix weakened on the right-hand side because of the Gold Fury, and so it feels like Smoke Break are gonna kind of back off for now. They've used their Fire Giant Siege. They've used it effectively. They've gotten themselves a pretty significant gold advantage all of a sudden. Now it's time to back and spend some of that gold.
So we're posturing around the soon to spawn FG. Pyromancer can be taken. Inner Circle are in a bit of a weird spot where they aren't winning too many fights, but they've got the damage to do so. How do you think they change up their engage?
I don't know. To me, the question has been, how do they engage? I feel like Coast is maybe holding on to these ults a little bit more. At some point, he just has to be the one to pull the trigger and not Genetics, I feel like.
Pyromancer dropped down to 3. Inner Circle walking towards it.
Stampede.
And Sap7 on the right side forced to walk away. Blades of Retribution finds a stun onto Deduin and can't dash through the Thor wall, but it's dropped just in the nick of time. Theeks is also throwing out a golden apple, which does a good amount of damage. But Banko's just W-keying towards him. Streak's able to throw some damage out, but not enough to save their friend. Look at Banko, one against the world. That eventually Banko is crushed, and down they go. Coast falls, and Theeks does too. So that many dead for Inner Circle means Smoke King's part, nice grab. They're going to go back to base, spin that gold, and come back in a big way.
Come back with some items here, and maybe look towards this Gold Fury that is spawning any moment now. But I don't know, Gold Fury spawning in 8 seconds. What's the Fire Giant timer here? It should be up fairly soon as well. So maybe Smokebreaker just going to group the right-hand side as 4, eventually 5 once Benko respawns. But shout outs to Benko in that fight. And this is a couple times now where Benko just feels so comfortable being so aggressive in the face of both carries. Gets taken down eventually, sure, but he takes down Theeks, keeps Theeks out of the fight, which is ultimately what's more important. The fight is happening around Pyromancer, and Streak and Theeks are at where once their tier 2 tower was in mid lane. Fire going quick here.
Down 3K, 3, it's sitting still. They dropped it to focus on a kill for Genetics, who can't seem to steal. Adapting secures the FG. Genetics dead, and Obsidian Dagger in pocket for adapting.
I mean, Genetics, again, just not tanky with this build, is going to try and, you know, use that ultimate, the damage behind it, sure, but where's the tankiness? How do you ever step forward there if you're Genetics to try and steal that one away if you just die every time you step forward to a Poseidon, Cripple, Whirlpool, Kraken?
Approaching the Phoenix. Smoke break, ready to take at least this away. They've got FG belts. They feel comfortable doing so. In goes Banko, who takes down Theeks in the blink of an eye. But adapting goes in, but melted by Deduin right after. 3 dead still for Inner Circle. Sap7 drops Deduin, and Coast is the only one left alive. He lands into the back line to take down Echrome, but I don't know if that saves your Titan. 3 members of Smoke break on top of it and burning it faster than you could save Burn. The Titan will fall here. 1,000 health. They turn around and focus on the Titan to kill it. And the Conquest tournament goes to Smokebreak.
What a turnaround there from Smokebreak. They looked down and out at times and just came out with the victory at the end of the day. What a performance from Adapting. I think just erases Theeks at that end fight there with the help of Banko. Banko, I think my unsung hero this entire game, has been just so prevalent. And part of that is because Adapting really just fed Banko in the early game. Like, let's be for real. Perma ganked Deduin on the right-hand side, put Banko in a spot where he can ultimately carry in team fights. What a performance for the Osiris player, both in game 1 and now in game 2 as well.
And just a great set of games overall from Smokebreak. They did an incredible job of just running things as a team, right? I've seen Banko in the past, but I haven't seen Banko play like that in a while.
I was going to say,
Banko on this Osiris just in his bag.
Just shades of Season 4 Deathwalker. That's where he kind of made a name for himself, was in Season 4 on that rival roster ages ago, back in the Smite 1 days. Just what a performance for him. And this is one of his kind of more signature picks from back in the day, where he looked so good and comfortable and started to build metas around him as a player. And Streak able to steal this Fire Giant. And this is where Inner Circle really started to take over this game. They kind of looked a little unstoppable at times. And to me, it's just that one play in the jungle. We'll curious to see if we get to see it, as, again, Adapting just takes a spill around this Fire Giant. It's a good steal away from Inner Circle.
Just beautiful plays all together. It's just, it's so good. It is so good how Smoke Break came together and had some crazy combinations of abilities. I'm sitting here thinking in picks and bans, like, how does this team come together? And Smoke Break says, this is how. Like, it's just so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Ecrom as well, taking a ton of pressure on the left-hand side from Coast, who was equally to adapting permaganking left. I mean, watch Theek's health bar here, by the way. Adapting just eviscerates him.
Goodbye.
And Benko's able to last hit him at the end of the day. I mean, Ecrom takes so much pressure on the left-hand side, is able to still be relevant in these fights with the damage, with these Devour Gauntlets stacked. It's nothing close to what he had stacked last game, but part of that is because he's getting perma-ganked, and so he's still able to be relevant in these fights, continuing to scale and be that late game insurance if the game goes late enough. I really like this build that Ecrom has. The Devos, Frenzy Dagger, the Titan's Bane, or Musashi's Dual Sword, then the other one, then a Kin Size. Just good damage, good strength, and good penetration as well. And then crit, something we kind of don't see a lot of our NA ADCs really lean on a lot right now is, you know, just this crit style that we see on most hunters.
Yeah, it a lot of damage from Ecrom there. Just it offered so much, not even just from, you know, really hurty basic attacks, but the Blades of Retribution ultimates were so smooth and really helped out with that CC chain. The Smoke Break was able to bust out time after time again. You know, the stuns from Banko's 3, you've got the cripples from Poseidon happen. Obviously, you've got a lot of CC with Ymir. You know, just so much to love about all of that coming together. So it was a delightful show to watch.
Yeah, that was really fun. That game one, by the way, was that'll have a special place in my heart for sure. That was really fun to watch. That game one in particular, just so close, so back and forth on a razor's edge. Game two, you know, back and forth, sure, not to the same extreme, but still a very fun watch for sure.
So how did we get here today? How in the world did we end up in the finals? Well, a bracket is how tournaments are done. Let's take a look at the bracket and find out what teams competed today, and a little blast in the past here, Book.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly expected the good Glurp to compete a little bit more in that finals match or semifinals matchup, but just not able to really show up, I think, today. I think they got a little bit out drafted and weren't really ready for the EU play style of, you know, demonic genetics showing up with Yamoja and Cupid Lane just ready to own. And I think that's something that, you know, the North American players, I think, have to be a little careful of. I feel like they're getting caught up in their own meta. Maybe they're not really aware of what Europe is doing and what Europe is cooking up here. Because I'll be honest, if we kind of mentioned it between games 1 and 2, I think if NA and EU fought right now on LAN, EU would win.
I won't disagree or agree. I'll let you have that statement. Let's talk about what the winning team has won today. What is Smoke Break going to walk away with today? It's a grand prize, $2,000 going their way. So shout out Smoke Break. You know, 5 phenomenal players that are going to walk away with that cash prize. But thankfully, that's not all we've got from a Smite Prime. Next week, Saturday at noon Eastern time, we're going to start the close bracket for the monthly circuit. And that's where we're going to see this big old cash prize you see down there, $5,000. And man, that's quite a bit of dinero to fight for. So the first 3 weeks were open brackets. Anybody can sign up, anybody can play and make their chance to make it to week 4, which is the 27th in 6 days from now. But that's not it. On Sunday, at the same time, Sunday, noon Eastern, we'll have a Joust tournament for the NA server, where that'll be fun to watch over as well. And it's going to be a pretty awesome cash prize there as well. So if you're a Joust fan, if you've been begging for ranked Joust and love competitive Joust, you've got to be there on Sunday, a week from today.
Yeah, love me a little Joust from time to time, Mort. I feel like taking a break from Conquest every once in a while is a nice change of pace things, you know, slam some arena queues, slam some Joust, and a little bit of duel. I think that'll be a really fun watch next Sunday, especially because I feel like Joust can either be over in a moment's notice once you take Lost Night, or it's just goes for 5 years, kind of like we saw in game 1 in our finals today.
Well, Book, you better hope you don't see me in the arena queues again. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been an absolute fun broadcast. Thank you to everybody with Smite Prime for making this happen. Most importantly, thank you to every single viewer that tuned in today, because it was an absolute awesome show to be a part of. We'll see you in 6 days, next Saturday at noon Eastern, right here on Smite Game.